Chapter 472. The young nascent soul split into 3 and entered the empty bag. Dozens of hearts were sealed in each of the 3 empty bags. They were sealed by a special blood cauldron. The blood cauldron wasn't a pill cauldron, nor was it an offensive or defensive treasure. The hearts in the blood cauldron were still beating. It was truly strange. This blood cauldron isn't simple. It's a high-grade treasure, but there's an evil aura in the restrictions and power that sealed all the hearts, causing them to leave the body. They're actually still alive. Don't waste these hearts. It's best to let Gui Gui absorb them. The hearts were still beating, but they couldn't return to the body. When the blood cauldron and the blood cauldron came in contact, Su Fang sensed a similar evil aura. Although the 2 treasures weren't directly related, their refining methods were somewhat similar. Fortunately, Su Fang had learned a certain amount of refining knowledge from the slaves suppressed by the myriad treasure path. He could see most of the restrictions inside the blood cauldron. The quality wasn't high, but its power was shocking. Gui Gui was happy. The hearts were the perfect food for him. He could eat them one by one. He also absorbed the immortal blood from Su Fang. He didn't need to cultivate. Just by devouring high-grade energy, Gui Gui's strength was transforming day by day. His strength was about the same as Su Fang's. After retrieving the young nascent soul and comparing it to the map, they soon arrived at the Xuanf Pavilion. Along the way, Su Fang led the disciples to stop and walk. After another month, they finally set foot on the boundless territory controlled by the Xuanf Pavilion. The Xuanf Pavilion was a female sect. It was the only female sect in the Zhuotian realm. Of course, the twin immortal sect didn't count. The twin immortal sect couldn't be compared to the Xuanf Pavilion. The Xuanf Pavilion's influence in the Zhuotian realm was even greater than the celestial sealing sect. Deep in the Xuanf Pavilion's territory, the ground was snow-white. Su Fang suddenly sensed something. The 2 disciples scouting ahead immediately came to report. Soon, hundreds of female disciples wearing snow-white cloaks flew over from the snowy sky on their swords. They were all young nascent soul and tribulation realm experts. Fellow Taoists from the celestial sealing sect. These white-cloaked women were all disciples of Xuanf Pavilion. The only woman who didn't ride a sword walked out from the crowd. The woman's skin was like ice and her bones were like jade. Her bearing was extraordinary, and her features were picturesque. Her appearance was unique, as if she had been sculpted bit by bit. Her aura also surpassed that of the Calamity Realm powerhouses behind her. She was only 19 years old, but her tone was very dignified. "I'm Zhen Qingke, the master of the sect. I've already received orders from the elders to wait nearby for the arrival of fellow Taoists from the Celestial Bestowment sect. May I know who is the new disciple of the Celestial Bestowment sect, junior brother Fang Yu?" Zhen Qingqiao. So he was a sect master. No wonder he was so extraordinary. Senior apprentice Sister Zhen, I am Fang Yu. Su Fang led his disciples to a stop. He stepped forward and bowed to Zhen Qingke. As expected of a young hero, to be able to fight Prince Shui to a draw. In the past, when Prince Shui was unhindered in the snowstorm continent, he fought against many geniuses, but none of them could surpass him. Zhen Qingque's gaze was focused. The women behind her also looked at Su Fang curiously. After chatting for a while, Su Fang led all his disciples to the Xuanf Pavilion's training hall under the guidance of the surrounding Xuanf Pavilion disciples. Su Fang's gaze became more and more urgent. In the end, he couldn't keep quiet. He bowed to the side. "Senior apprentice Sister Zhen, I'd like to ask you about a female disciple." "Please speak," Zhen Qingke replied generously. "Her name is Xiao Meier. Decades ago, she met a few senior apprentice sisters from your sect in the Tiangord domain. In the end, she followed a senior apprentice sister with the surname Wang to the Xuanf Pavilion's training hall. You're talking about the birth of the spirit gourd, right? I also participated at that time. I clearly remember that it was Senior Apprentice Sister Wang Yuan who led some of the sect's geniuses to the Tian Gourd domain to seize the Spirit Gourd and search for the Spirit Water and other treasures. Later, Senior Apprentice Sister Wang returned with a few disciples selected from the Chamber of Commerce. Wait a moment. After Zhen Qingke finished speaking, she probably used her young nascent soul to secretly search for the token. Wang Yuan. It should be Senior Apprentice Sister Wang. Su Fang exclaimed in surprise. A snow-white woman in a black robe suddenly appeared in his mind. Her face was still covered, and there was a purple flower on her head. That woman's surname was also Wang. She was extremely powerful and had a noble status. Now that he thought about it, she must be a high-level member of the Zhuanf Pavilion. Zhen Qingke suddenly nodded. Xiao Mei there is indeed such a female disciple. She is cultivating in the training hall that Senior Apprentice Sister Wang is in charge of. She has been here for decades and experienced the birth of the Spirit Gourd. Now, her cultivation has just entered the longevity realm. In the recent training of the new disciples, her performance was very eye-catching. Senior Apprentice Sister Wang is training her as a core disciple. Thank you, Senior Apprentice Sister. I wonder if I can meet Junior Apprentice Sister Xiao when I go to the sect. I come from the same territory as her and can be considered as a friend who has gone through life and death together. I don't have a say in this. Senior Apprentice Sister Wang is also a Palm Master and has already advanced to Palm Path. Above Palm Path is the Elder. If you want to meet Xiao Mei you must get her permission. If you really want to meet her, I can lead you to her first. Thank you, Senior Apprentice Sister. He didn't expect it to be so troublesome. At least Zhen Qingke was very enthusiastic and was willing to help. About 3 days later, the group arrived at a plateau that seemed to be a world of ice. At the peak of the plateau, which looked like it was formed by rolling waves and solidifying waves, floated a vast barrier. This was the training hall of the Zhuanf Pavilion. Zhen Qingke used a magical door. From tens of thousands of miles away, they immediately passed through the barrier and arrived at the inner world of the training hall. Zhuanf Pavilion's training hall was similar to the celestial ceiling sects in terms of formations. Unlike the others, Zhuanf Pavilion's buildings were all carved out of ice. Inside there were countless snowy mountains, forests and valleys. Cold. The disciples of the celestial ceiling sect stood in the training hall. The only thing they felt was the bone-piercing cold wind. Along the way, there were already many ordinary vast core realm and heavenly union realm disciples curiously sizing up the people of the celestial ceiling sect. Further in were the longevity realm and undying realm disciples. They arrived at a mountain range. There were many ice palaces here. Under Zhen Qingque's arrangement, the disciples of the celestial ceiling sect began to cultivate in the ice palaces. In the centermost ice palace, Junior Brother Fang, the elders will come to see you later, as well as other higher-ups. In the crystal-clear ice palace, Zhen Qingke invited Su Fang to sit down. You've come to the snow-wind continent with great difficulty. This time, my sect is preparing for an exchange competition. We hope to exchange techniques with your sect's genius disciples. We'll pick some longevity, undying, and yang soul disciples. That's not a problem. I think the higher-ups of our sects have already come into contact with each other. I have no objections. However, we still have to go to the Forbidden Snow Forest to train. Before that, we still have to pay a visit to the Blue Cloud sect. I estimate that we'll only be in your sect for about a month. That's enough. The two chatted for a while. As expected, more than 20 higher-ups arrived. They were all in the catastrophe realm. One of them was even an elder. His cultivation had long surpassed the catastrophe realm. He was a powerful powerhouse like Jin Chongkong and Yuan Tianzong. However, what surprised Su Fang was that this elder was a man. He was very young, about 30 years old. He wore a silver crown and had bright eyes. At first glance, one could tell that he was a peerless expert. Like the other disciples, the elder's body was mainly made of cold qi. After an introduction, this elder's name was Zhang Sun-ing. He had been an elder for 1,000 years and could be considered a newly promoted elder. Zhang Sun-ing was also very polite. He praised Su Fang greatly. Among the higher-ups behind, Su Fang saw a few familiar faces. It turned out that they were the emissaries from the Zunv pavilion that he had met at the conferring ceremony. Junior brother Fang, then it's settled. The exchange will be held in 10 days. Qinke, send more elixirs to the disciples of the Celestial Sealing Sect, especially our special cold qi elixirs. Take good care of everyone. Zhang Sun-ing left quickly. Elders were indeed different. Zhen Qinke also left quickly. However, she was in a nearby ice palace. Then, a disciple of the Zunv pavilion came to bring elixirs, spirit fruits, and other resources. The Zunv pavilion's cold qi surpasses the Celestial Sealing Sect's jade firmament mysterious art. However, compared to the 9 cold qi, the Zunv pavilion's Dao grounds are even more abundant than the Celestial Sealing Sect's. As expected of a large power, this month, I'll be able to recover the energy of my 3 yang meridians. Zunv pavilion deep within a Dao grounds, will carving technique. Frozen space. A large amount of snowflakes came out of a woman's xian guang. The countless snowflakes were like knives, carving large amounts of ice flowers into the figure. This woman was Xiao Mei, who was wearing a snow-white robe. When the figure finally took shape, it was actually Su Fang's appearance. Xiao Mei stopped for a moment and suddenly sensed something. A large amount of snowflakes covered the figure. Countless snowflakes danced in the air, and the figure transformed into Xiao Mei's appearance. Mei, a woman's illusory figure, first responded from outside before entering the cave. It was the woman who had worn a purple bead flower on her head back then. This was the Zunv pavilion's Dao master, Wang Yuan. Senior apprentice sister. Xiao Mei stopped cultivating and bowed to Wang Yuan. You still need to cultivate. Although your breakthroughs have been extremely shocking these past few years, you're still just a longevity cultivator. Only by forming a yang soul can you be considered an expert. Even if you're undying, you still can't be considered an expert. Only by forming a yang soul can you understand the benefits of cultivation. Disciple definitely won't disappoint senior apprentice sister's expectations. Wang Yuan was untainted by even a speck of dust. She coldly said, I came to see you just now because Dao Master Qing Ke came to see me. She said there was someone who wanted to see you. See me? Xiao Mei was puzzled. It's that arrogant disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect who boasted in front of me in the heavenly gourd. His name is Fang Yu. It's him. Xiao Mei trembled. Disciple doesn't want to see him. I hope senior apprentice sister won't agree. Of course I don't agree. Wang Yuan slowly looked over. But I didn't expect that this Fang Yu would change in just a few days. It's only been 30 years since we parted in the heavenly gourd, and now he's become the 4th Dao Master of the Celestial Sealing Sect. He's a Dao Master's disciple. Xiao Mei silently cried tears of joy in her heart. Indeed, I rarely care about the sect's ordinary matters. In these past few years, the only thing I care about is you disciples' cultivation. Especially you. I just learned from the other Dao Masters that in these past few decades, that Fang Yu brat has done quite a few things that have shaken the entire Zhuotian world. His name is now known throughout the world. But even so, I won't let him see you so easily. Mei my sect cultivates a clear heart and condensing qi. We have to sever all 7 emotions and 6 desires. It's not just love, but also familial love. Pursuing the immortal Tao is to pursue the Tao wholeheartedly. I've already refused. You should properly cultivate here. Wang Yuan transformed into cold qi and left the frozen space. You really did come as a Tao master. I knew it. I never doubted you. But right now you can't shake senior apprentice Sister Wang. You can't shake the laws of this Zunv pavilion. Go back. I don't want to put you in an awkward position because of me. Xiao Mei silently lowered her head. Snow once more filled the air. At this moment, Xiao Mei smiled. Chapter 473. Why doesn't Senior Sister Wang allow me to see Junior Sister Xiao? Central Ice Palace. Su Fang felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He was originally sitting on the ice chair, but because of Zhen Qingxue's words, he suddenly stood up. His eyes were like lightning, flashing with a hint of sharpness. This Fang Yu is really brave. He can challenge Prince Shui in the Celestial Sealing Gate and return from the Xianjia Gate. Su Fang was challenging the power of the sect master. But Zhen Qingke did not blame him for his rudeness. When Su Fang returned to normal, she said, "Since Senior Sister Wang is in charge of Xiao Mei-er's cultivation, she has the authority to make such a decision. Even the elders can't interfere. Junior Brother Fang, this matter can't go according to your wishes, but the exchange day is coming soon. I hope you can prepare well. Is there no way for me to see Junior Sister Xiao?" He still did not give up and looked at Zhen Qingke with almost pleading eyes. This man. He has an unparalleled aura. He also has amazing talent. He should be a heroic man, but he is willing to compromise for a little girl. Zhen Qingke was stunned by his gaze, but in the end she shook her head. Su Fang said again, "Then Senior Sister, can you take me to Wang Yuan's training ground? It's just outside the training ground. It's enough to stay for a while." "That's fine. Although it doesn't fit the rules, especially when the sect forbids strange men from entering the female training grounds of the sect, I can still take you there since you are so determined." Zhen Qingke did not know why, but she actually agreed. Just like that, she took Su Fang through the door. In an instant, they appeared in front of an oval-shaped barrier covered by snow. Zhen Qingke reminded him, "Since this is Senior Sister Wang's training ground, we can't take another step in. Otherwise, with Senior Sister Wang's status, even if you are a disciple of the Venerable Tao, she will teach you a lesson and embarrass you." "Yes, I have already sensed Junior Sister Zhao's aura. It can't be wrong. She is cultivating here." He took a small step forward. He closed his eyes slightly and did not release his young nascent soul. If he did, it would be spying on the training ground. Of course, he had other methods. An even more brilliant method was to use the origin of the Zhuotian realm. With the control of the Zhuotian realm's divine power of origin, coupled with the absorption of the spiritual energy of Zunv Pavilion's dojo, Su Fang could perfectly integrate his sensing ability into the sky of this dojo. Xiao Mei-er's aura was so weak, but as long as it was a familiar aura, Su Fang could sense everything around the dojo through the power of the origin. It was just that he couldn't go deeper. Chi. All of a sudden a female disciple flew out. His aura was overbearing as he shouted coldly at Su Fang, "Who are you? Where did you come from? Leave the training hall." "I am a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, Fang Yu. I'm just passing by." Su Fang looked at the girl. She was only 17 or 18 years old. She was very young but also very beautiful. But she doesn't have the gentleness of a woman. The woman was dressed in white, but it was not an ordinary snow-white robe. It was like a set of sturdy clothes, causing the woman to look fierce and heroic, just like the man. The girl frowned and sized him up in surprise. "You're the genius of the Celestial Sealing Sect, Fang Yu, who recently challenged Prince Shui and became famous in the Zhuotian realm." Su Fang replied indifferently, "That's right. I didn't expect to meet you here. I've heard people talking about you every day these past few years." The girl's eyes suddenly lit up. Zhen Qingxiao called out to the girl, "Yuan Ling, Junior Brother Fang is here on behalf of the Celestial Sealing Sect to exchange with our sect's disciples." The girl, Yuan Ling, shook her head. "But he came to my master's dojo and seemed to be spying on it." Don't worry about him, senior sister. I want to see if he really has the strength to fight Prince Shui to a draw like the rumors say. You want to? Zhen Qingqiao asked. I'm just testing him. I want to see if he really has the ability. Yuan Ling's aura suddenly changed. Wherever she walked, she was frozen. Senior sister Yuan, I'm not your match. I'm only at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm. This Yuan Ling didn't give Zhen Qingqiao any face. It's true that you're only at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm, but I know that you were able to fight Prince Shui to a draw when you were only at the 10th stage of the Undying realm. That means your strength is at least at the 7th stage of the Calamity realm. You're above me. Take my sword. Yuan Ling's attack became even fiercer. She swept over, and the surroundings were frozen. And suddenly, the freezing power turned into an incomparably sharp sword. Su Fang looked at Zhen Qingqiao, asking her for help. He didn't want to fight with such a powerful disciple of the Xuanv Pavilion in the dojo of the Xuanv Pavilion. But Zhen Qingqiao didn't say a word. How could she not know what Su Fang was thinking? Whoosh! The freezing sword qi sucked in the surrounding freezing air, forming a sword light that was several meters tall. All right, I'll ask senior sister for advice. Pure yellow sword qi. There was no choice. Fortunately, there were witnesses here. He instantly used two great abilities, the minor yellow heavens divine astral force and the Daluo heavens sword qi. The combination of tyrannical and sharp was also sword qi. One was a frozen snow-white sword light. The other was a pure yellow sword qi. Bang! The two of them pushed their sword qi and sword light in the air, colliding in midair with lightning speed. At this moment, Su Fang and Yuan Ling both retreated several meters. As for the two sword qis, they had already begun to shatter from the collision. Neither of them suppressed the other's strength. Yuan Ling, who had steadied her footwork, looked at the strange man in front of her with a seriousness that she had never shown before. Did you use your full strength or normal strength? Then, senior sister, did you use your full strength? Su Fang asked calmly. Humph, as expected of a venerated Tao disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. You're only at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm, but you can fight me to a draw. No, in terms of realm, I've already lost to you. Now, I believe that you fought Prince Shui to a draw in the Celestial Sealing Sect. You're even more terrifying than the rumors say. Whoosh! Yuan Ling turned around and entered the dojo after saying that. The moment she entered the barrier of the dojo, Yuan Ling's body froze. Wang Yuan's masked face appeared in front of her. Master. Yuan Ling hastily bowed, her face pale with fright. Wang Yuan's voice was like thunder. You've grown bold. I didn't let you out, but you actually dared to leave the dojo and fight with Fang Yu. Disciple was wrong. Yuan Ling was even more terrified. It's fine if you fought, but in the end, you didn't even defeat Fang Yu when you were at the 6th stage of the Calamity realm. Instead, you came back in such a sorry state. I say you're a genius, but in front of Fang Yu, you're not even a tenth of him. Fang Yu is really powerful. How could I not know how powerful he is? Otherwise, when he came back from the Celestial Sealing Sect and fought Prince Shui to a draw, even I would be afraid of his strength, let alone a disciple like you. That Fang Yu must have some peerless technique that he's hiding. But his own strength, just now, he used the Celestial Sealing Sect's minor yellow heaven divine astral energy and Daluo heavenly sword qi to block you. Regardless of his technique, just his strength is above a catastrophe disciple like you. Disciple is untalented. You really don't know how big the world is. Go back and enter seclusion. Without my permission, if you dare take another step out, you'll have to leave my dojo. Wang Yuan suddenly raised her hand, and an ice seal wrapped around Yuan Ling. Hoo. A wondrous door appeared in the ice palace. After sitting down, Zhen Qingqiao said meaningfully, Junior apprentice brother Fang, that junior apprentice sister Yuan Ling is senior apprentice sister Wang's favorite disciple. You didn't even give her face when you fought with her. It seems like neither of you won or lost, but in reality, she lost. Aren't you afraid of offending Senior Apprentice Sister Wang because of this? You probably won't be able to see Xiao Mei again in the future. I agree with Senior Apprentice Sister's words, and thank Senior Apprentice Sister for the reminder. However, I'm still a disciple of the Celestial Bestowment sect. When I came to your esteemed sect, I had to keep a low profile, be humble, and respect your esteemed sect. However, if someone wants to use this opportunity to step on my head, I, Fang Yu, am not someone who's afraid of trouble. Thinking back to when Prince Shui was at the Flying Immortal Island, in front of 100,000 disciples, he punished me in front of Prince Shui. He stripped me of my Dharma treasures, cut off my left arm, and even wanted to consign me to eternal damnation. So what if everyone is afraid of him? In the end, didn't I get back my dignity from him? This time, I've offended Wang Yuan, but who knows what will happen in the future. When the time comes, whether Wang Yuan will be stronger or if I, Fang Yu, will be stronger. I'm afraid no one can make a conclusion about the future. Senior Apprentice Sister, do you think that when I come to Zunv Pavilion again in the future, Wang Yuan will still be able to stop me from seeing the person I want to see? Su Fang's eyes shone brightly. The confidence that came from nowhere exploded from his eyes. Zhen Qingqiao was stunned. Su Fang continued, "Tomorrow is the exchange day. I hope it will end early. Right now I'm still too weak. No matter where I go, I'll be restrained. In the end, I still have to become a powerful figure like Prince Shui. I can go to other small worlds to kill the Celestial Bestowment sect disciples of other forces, and I can do whatever I want in the Zhuetian realm. Then I'll go and prepare first." Zhen Qingqiao left the main hall silently. When she left the door, she looked back with a surprised expression. What a big tone. What high ambitions. I don't know if I should say that you're blind and arrogant, or that you're really ambitious. Let's do as you say. When the day comes, everything will be proven. Night came and heavy snow fell. More than 100 disciples gathered at the Ice Palace. Jing Daoxin led some Yang Soul disciples and ordered all the disciples to keep quiet. When Su Fang appeared, they all quieted down. He took out a large number of pure essence pills and impotence pills. Tomorrow is the exchange competition. Although this is Zunv Pavilion's territory, we can't be soft persimmons and be controlled by them. These are high-grade pills. Take more tonight and settle down. Tomorrow, show the glory of the Celestial Bestowment sect. Even if we lose, we can't lose. In an instant, all the pills automatically flew to the 100 disciples. Qian Huanyun, Fu Tianxian, and the others accepted the pills. They were not surprised. They did not expect Su Fang to take out such high-grade pills. After everyone left, Su Fang continued to cultivate. He would not let go of the opportunity to absorb the essence of Zunv Pavilion's dojo. The energy in his 3 yang meridians gradually returned to normal. He also made a wound on his body, implanted the immortal fruit slices, swallowed the marrow cleansing pill, and the blood of the King of Ice. He worked at full speed, racing against time. The next day, Zhen Qingqiao led the disciples to the front of the Ice Palace. Under the guidance of the masters, an altar appeared. Soon, a large number of Zunv Pavilion disciples arrived. Most of them were female disciples. When it was close to noon, almost 100,000 Zunv Pavilion disciples gathered around the altar. The higher-ups and Su Fang sat at the front. The person in charge of Zunv Pavilion was Zhang Sun Ing, Zhen Qingqiao, and the other higher-ups. Everyone knows that the 7 superpowers of the Celestial Bestowment sect are famous in the world. This time, the disciples of the Celestial Bestowment sect finally came to our sect. How can we miss such a good opportunity to exchange techniques? This exchange competition is not a fight to the death, but a duel. Both sides must pay attention to your safety. If anyone dares to break the rules, I will punish them severely. Now, disciples of the longevity sect whose names are called, enter the altar and wait. Zhang Sun-ing spoke in a majestic and domineering voice. After that, Zhen Qingqiao began to call out names one by one. More than a dozen disciples of the longevity sect from both sides flew onto the altar. Chapter 474. Su Fang sat at one end. Whenever a longevity disciple flew out, he would secretly warn them. The last one to fly out was Qian Huanyun. The quota was decided through selection and self-registration. In fact, Su Fang already knew that Qian Huanyun would be there, but he still paid attention to her. Generally speaking, he didn't have many friends in the celestial sealing sect. Although Qian Huanyun wasn't too close to him back then, at least she had never tried to harm him. Fang Yu, that's the genius who tied with Prince Shui, whose name shook the Zhuotian world. He's really powerful. He's sitting at the same end as the elder. No matter what, he's not inferior at all. Even our sect's Yuan Ling couldn't defeat him. That doesn't count. I heard that the two of them were just comparing notes. Su Fang, who seemed to be sitting quietly and watching the longevity disciples fight on the altar, was actually using his perfected ability. At this moment, he could hear the surrounding Zunv pavilion's upper echelons and the surrounding ordinary disciples. Whether it was their gazes or the content of their conversations, almost all of them were fixed on him. Coincidentally, he also saw the two female Immortal Realm disciples who had fallen into the hands of the twin Immortal sect together with Xiao Mei. In less than 2 hours, all the longevity disciples' fights ended. Overall, Zunv Pavilion had the upper hand. Qian Huanyun defeated her opponent and was one of the few who won. Next was the Undying Disciples fight. More than 10 people were chosen. The Undying Disciples fights were far more exciting than the Longevity Disciples fight. Among them were Huang Lingyun and Yi Guren, whom Su Fang was familiar with. They were the experts who had to fight for the Barbarian Mark Divine Power Cauldron in the past. But now, their strength and cultivation were far behind Su Fang. Give these pills to the disciples who just finished fighting. While watching the altar, Su Fang called Jing Daoxin and took out a lot of pills. He even gave each of them a marrow-cleansing pill and asked Jing Daoxin to give it to the longevity disciples. This made many disciples feel warm in their hearts. In this unfamiliar Zunv pavilion, there was still Su Fang's concern and so many pills. Which disciple wouldn't feel touched in their hearts? The Undying Disciples fight also ended quickly. In this round, the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples were still at a disadvantage. Only 1/3 of them won. It was just an exchange. Winning or losing wasn't too important, but every disciple still cared about it. The Undying Disciples fight. There were also Hua Tianyuan and Fu Tianshan among the Imperishable Realm disciples. There were only 5 people participating in the battle. The main reason was that the Imperishable Realm cultivators were more powerful. They didn't want to lose any disciples. Looks like Fu Tianshan is really fated with the Berserker Mark Divine Power Cauldron. His cultivation base is also breaking through quickly. He's still in the Imperishable Realm, but his divine power is stronger than all the Imperishable Realm disciples. It was 2. Su Fang still took out pills and gave them to the 5 Undying disciples. The 5 of them were also sincerely grateful, especially the disciples who felt a sense of belonging from him. It seemed that Su Fang was as reliable as an elder. With him, they had unlimited confidence in their hearts. It seemed to have become a kind of disease. They didn't know when, but hundreds of disciples had this feeling. Maybe they didn't even realize it. The 3 young soul disciples' fight attracted everyone's attention. Su Fang also stared at the 3 experts of Zunv Pavilion. They were 2 women and a man. The cold chi they used was simply extraordinary, especially the freezing power. It completely surpassed the blue sky cold mysterious art. The 3 young soul disciples of the celestial sealing sect were at a disadvantage when facing the cold qi. Coupled with the yang soul's appearance, it spouted out a cold qi storm. Even the formation around the altar trembled. The yang soul and the original body attacked at the same time. This was the biggest difference between cultivators under the imperishable realm and those under the yang soul realm. Su Fang secretly recorded many characteristics of Zhuan Pavilion's technique. The ones that could counter Zhuan Pavilion's techniques the most were fire elemental technique. But all the Zhuan Pavilion disciples had a special characteristic. This characteristic made them have a pure heart and few desires even if they didn't use cold qi. They had a pure and untainted aura. It felt like all the disciples had cultivated for a long time to have such a stable temperament. It probably had a lot to do with the techniques of Zhuan Pavilion. The last round of the competition ended. The 3 disciples of the celestial sealing sect had 1 win and 2 losses. Whoosh! The 6 of them had just finished their battle and left the altar. They didn't know that a woman flew into the array at an extremely fast speed, like a snowflake with wings. Zhang Suning suddenly raised his voice. Wushuang, why did you go up? It's Jiao Wushuang. Why did a disciple like her go up? Some of the surrounding Zhuan Pavilion disciples were also very surprised. Elder. The snowflake figure condensed and turned into a masked woman in a white robe. Her aura was like a blooming snowflake, rising from the altar. She looked directly at Su Fang. It's rare to see a new Venerable Dao disciple today. Junior Brother Fang, I want to exchange a few moves with you. Since today is the day of the exchange between our sect's disciples, why don't you and I come up and liven up the atmosphere? Zhen Qingke sat next to Zhang Suning. She stood up and said, Junior Brother Fang has to agree. I have no objections. To the surprise of the surrounding disciples, Su Fang agreed immediately. Zhang Suning waved his hand. Wushuang is a core disciple of our sect. Your battle is based on an exchange. Don't go too far. Whoosh! Under the gaze of countless disciples, Su Fang nimbly flashed into the altar. It could be said that he was the center of attention. Su Fang greeted Shanshan. Senior Sister Jiao, your cultivation is profound. You're at the first level of the catastrophe realm. I'm only at the first level of the Yang infant realm. How about this? My attack might not be as good as yours, so I'll defend against 3 of your attacks. If I can't defend against them, I'll lose. Alright, I heard that Senior Sister Yuanling was defeated by you and didn't gain any advantage. I'm rising rapidly in Zhuan Pavilion, and you're also a shining figure in the celestial sealing sect. I'll attack you 3 times. Jiao Wushuang was not inferior to a man's decisiveness. Jade Sky Cold Mysterious Technique. Su Fang was the first to activate his seal. The surroundings were sealed in ice, turning into a snow-white frozen space. You're only at the first level of the Yang infant realm, but you're already so proficient in using your Yang infant realm. You really live up to your reputation. Thick ice palm. Jiao Wushuang also flew over with cold air. The cold air around her was almost burning. Suddenly, she pushed out an ice palm. The ice palm wasn't beautiful, but it was swift and fierce. It struck the layer of ice in front of Su Fang. This palm caused a large amount of cracks to appear in front of the layer of ice, but it didn't break or shatter. Amazing, amazing, I really don't believe it. Your ability to surpass realms is too terrifying. I'm also surpassing realms. When I was at the first level of the Yang infant realm, I was only at the 6th level of the Yang infant realm. Experts exchanged blows. In just a moment, Jiao Wushuang's gaze changed. She now viewed Su Fang as a strange person. Second palm, Mystic Handle Ice Chi. It broke through the air with a whoosh. The cold air from Jiao Wushuang's palms seemed to be tearing through the formation. It was truly powerful. With her cultivation at the first level of the catastrophe realm, her strength was probably at the 4th or 5th level. Su Fang was also very shocked. Senior sister, you're also an extraordinary surpassing realms. The difficulty of surpassing realms in the catastrophe realm is far greater than the young infant realm. The experts I've met in the catastrophe realm could only surpass 2 levels. Even that Prince Shui could only surpass 3 levels. That's already the limit. I've seen senior brother Shui a few times. I've even seen him fight once. He's also a rare surpassing realms cultivator. Furthermore, he's at the high level of the catastrophe realm. He has an astonishing ability to surpass realms. As for me, I'm only at the low level. When I reach his level of cultivation, I'm naturally inferior to him. The mystic handle ice chi suddenly slashed down with an earth-shattering momentum. It slashed down on Su Fang's layer of ice. Zzz, a half-meter deep cut appeared in the layer of ice, but it still didn't reach Su Fang. It could be said that Su Fang was still able to defend against Jiao Wushuang's second attack. Amazing. I'll have to use my full strength for the third move. It contains the power of a divine image. Be careful, primordial spirit return to one, original image as ancestor. Jiao Wushuang immediately used her third move. Her entire body turned into a state of nothingness, as if she was formed by countless snowflakes. She perfectly fused with the cold chi. Suddenly, she pushed out a finger that didn't seem to be very powerful towards Su Fang's defense. The finger technique also turned into ice. The ice finger was sparkling and translucent. Chi. It touched Su Fang's layer of ice. First, it shattered the layer of ice's cold chi. Then, the ice finger suddenly increased its speed by 10 times. It was as if it could control the layer of ice. The ice finger shattered with an imposing aura that cut through all obstacles, wanting to completely shatter the defense. Countless disciples held their breaths as they watched the result from afar. A large amount of true fire surged out in front of Su Fang, turning into a giant flaming person. Furthermore, it was a cyan flaming person. Bang! The cyan flaming person blocked in front of the shattered layer of ice and collided with the ice finger. The ice finger almost shattered the cyan figure. However, the seal of the true fire was truly terrifying. It was unknown how many layers of seals the cyan flaming person had formed. Not only was the fire terrifying, it was also very sturdy. Finally, Jiao Wushuang's ice finger melted a little bit. She helplessly withdrew all of her aura. Su Fang also suppressed all of his divine abilities. You are worthy of being a venerated Tao's disciple. You and I are both newcomers. In the future, we'll have a chance to exchange pointers. I hope that next time, I'll be able to defeat you. Jiao Wushuang transformed into a cold wind and disappeared within the snowflakes. Good. The celestial sealing sect's disciples cheered excitedly. On the day of the exchange, the Zunv Pavilion had always held the advantage. However, in the end, Su Fang and Jiao Wushuang had exchanged 3 moves, forcefully recovering their face. Elder. At this moment Jiao Wushuang appeared in an ice palace. She arrived behind a woman whose back was leaning against her. Although the woman's appearance couldn't be seen clearly, her long hair was coiled up in layers. Each layer contained a supreme profundity. The elder indifferently said, I already know Fang Yu's strength. What about you? Jiao Wushuang suspiciously shook her head. He's very strong. Unfathomable. I heard that Prince Shui's strength has already reached the peak of the Calamity Realm. For Fang Yu to be able to fight him to a draw, he's naturally stronger than me. There are many reasons why he was able to fight to a draw with Prince Shui. In truth, his strength is about the same as yours. However, his physical body, cultivation technique, and young nascent soul have fused together. His methods are truly shocking. Even I can't see through his true body. Elder, can you sense the high-level aura of the Xianjia Gate from his body? Yes. His blood qi does indeed contain the aura of the Xianjia Gate. He truly did have a fortuitous encounter in the Xianjia Gate. Now we can conclude from him that the celestial sealing sex exalted Yuezhen must have obtained a shocking secret in the Xianjia Gate. As for Feng Yu, I'm afraid he also has a certain secret. We have to think of a way to get that secret from him. Our sect also has a Dao item, but our Dao item admits that it's not even a tenth of the Xianjia Gate's power. If we can obtain that secret with the help of our Dao item's origin spirit, it won't be impossible for your generation to obtain that peerless Dao item. But if we want to get that secret from him, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Jiao Wushuang sighed that it was impossible. As for the elder, she remained silent. It was unknown what she was thinking. Chapter 475. A few days after the exchange day, under the leadership of the Zhuanv Pavilion's higher-ups, the disciples left the Zhuanv Pavilion's training hall and began to tour the various scenic spots. However, in the depths of the Zhuanv Pavilion's training hall, more than 10 higher-ups and elders were gathered together. Zhen Qingqiao was also among them. There were 3 elders, including Zhang Sun Ying and 2 women. As elders, their strength was probably abnormally strong. Zhang Sun Ying coldly sneered. This exchange with the celestial sealing sex disciples has benefited a lot. There's a reason why the celestial sealing sect has developed in the past 10,000 years. Now, genius disciples are constantly emerging, especially venerable Dao disciple Feng Yu. Whether it's strength, ability, or potential, he far surpasses the current generation of genius disciples in the sect. A female elder at the side also said, Celestial sealing sex Huang Lingyao is a peerless desolate body genius disciple. They are indeed extraordinary. Fortunately, this time we learned about Feng Yu's strength. Next, I have to reveal a big matter to you. I also want you to suggest a way. This is a big matter, you must not spread it. Another female elder looked at everyone solemnly. The last time the celestial sealing sect held a grand ceremony, one was for exalted Yuezhen, and the other was for Feng Yu. In fact, all the sects went to watch the ceremony because of exalted Yuezhen. In a deeper sense, it's for the celestial sealing sect. The surrounding higher-ups maintained their silence and listened carefully. The female elder sighed softly. You might not know this, but our sect's great elder was a cultivator of the same era as exalted Master Yuezhen. Therefore, when exalted Master Yuezhen was able to escape from the Xianjia Gate that had been imprisoned for thousands of years, the Zhuotian realm seemed calm, but the evil Dao and the righteous Dao forces were secretly shocked. In history, no one had ever been able to escape from the depths of the Xianjia Gate. Exalted Master Yuezhen was the only one. Zhang Suning said, Elder, there's another idea that you haven't mentioned. Our sect also wants to obtain the celestial sealing sect. I asked you to come here to let you think of a way to obtain the secret of the celestial sealing sect. Because of exalted Yuezhen, the various sects secretly sent many experts to enter the celestial sealing sect again. However, they didn't gain anything. No one dares to rashly enter the depths of the restriction. Method it was impossible to obtain the secret of the Xianjia Gate from the immortal sealing gate. All the executives were silent. There were sect masters and Dao masters here, and they all sank into deep thought after hearing the elder's words. Zhen Qingke suddenly stood up and bowed to the 3 elders. This concerns the future of the sect. I have something to say. The female elder on the left praised, Qingke, this matter is indeed related to our sect. Our sect has a strong foundation, but in the entire Zhuotian world, we're unable to surpass all the other powers. Outside of such a huge minor world, there are still many powerful dynasties and world overlords. The future of our sect requires us to worry about it. For example, everyone knows that the human emperor world was once so glorious, but it still managed to destroy a minor world. Then, how weak would we be if we were to survive in a minor world? These words once again made all the higher-ups feel a sense of crisis. The difference between the upper echelons and the ordinary disciples was not only in terms of strength, but also in terms of experience and responsibility. Zhenchinke broke the silence. During this time, I was in charge of receiving Feng Yu. I discovered that he was especially concerned about one of senior apprentice Sister Wang's female disciples. For her, he didn't hesitate to go to senior apprentice Sister Wang's training ground and almost fought with Yuan Ling. We've all heard about this. What do you mean? Zhang Sun Ying was puzzled. The female elder on the right seemed to have heard something. Qin Ke, you're saying that female disciple is extremely important to Feng Yu? You want her to use this special relationship to get the secret of the Xianjia Gate from Feng Yu? Zhenchinke smiled in embarrassment. That's exactly what I meant, but it's just a sudden thought. I just remembered that everyone was talking about Feng Yu, so I thought of this. I don't know if it'll work. I'll call Wang Yuan over right now. The female elder on the left immediately formed a hand seal. In less than 10 breaths' time, a white figure flew in from outside the hall. It was Wang Yuan. She arrived in front of the 3 elders and immediately bowed. Elders, why have you summoned Yuan? Zhang Sun Ying directly asked. Do you know the relationship between your female disciple, Xiao Mei and Feng Yu? Why so suddenly? Wang Yuan's cold eyes were full of shock and confusion. This is a serious matter. Tell us first. Another female elder nodded. Wang Yuan thought carefully before replying. I don't know very much either. Last time, when the spirit gourd appeared, I brought some genius disciples to the Tian Gourd domain. There, I found out that Mei and Feng Yu had a deeper relationship. Later, when I returned to the sect, I asked carefully. The 2 of them came from the same territory and walked the path of cultivation together. They felt like family. For Mei Feng Yu repeatedly provoked you. If it weren't for their close relationship, Feng Yu would also provoke you, a Tao master, for a female disciple. Now I can tell you what we all think. The elders roughly explained their thoughts in front of Wang Yuan. Wang Yuan was very puzzled. What everyone means is that for the sake of the Xianjia Gate, we let Mei deliberately get close to Feng Yu. All of the female disciples of the Zunv Pavilion have the determination to surpass men. Even if we really obtain the secret of the Xianjia Gate, how will Mei continue to cultivate in the future? It doesn't sound good. We are using Mei-er's trust in the sect to steal. The female elder's gaze was like lightning. She was furious. As the sovereign, I'll ask you one question. Which is more important, a disciple or a sect? Sect. Wang Yuan nodded with a pale face. At this moment, it was as if she was the only one in the ice palace. That's right. You are in charge of this matter. Discuss it with us. The Xianjia Gate is related to the sect, so it is related to each of our disciples. As the sovereign, this is the will of the elders. You can't not do it. The 3 elders seemed to be a bit angry. After leaving behind some unhappy instructions, they all left the table. A few women rushed over to comfort Wang Yuan. Half a month later the world of ice and snow was replaced by green mountains and clear water. Through the great perfection stage ability, Su Feng saw a faint green spirit chi from the distant sky. It was growing in the depths of the territory ahead. Blue Cloud Sect. This is a sect that was established long ago. After the Zunv Pavilion, it is an ancient sect as old as the Ziwei Star Sect. It's not an exaggeration to describe it as the orthodox immortal path. Blue Cloud Sect, how many Daos are famous in the world? This time, I must take a good look. Su Feng led the disciples to speed up, and the whole group flew on their swords. Not long after, they encountered the first city controlled by the Blue Cloud Sect. The Blue Cloud Sect disciples immediately received everyone, and soon, the upper echelons of the Blue Cloud Sect rushed over. Inside a pagoda building in the main hall, there were many green-robed cultivators standing. They were all disciples of the Blue Cloud Sect. Their eyes seemed to be green. The green-robed cultivators were the upper echelons. All of them were at the catastrophe realm. One of them was also a sect master. His name was Zhang Xingmang, and his Taoist name was Taoist Master Xingmang. They were extremely young, only a few years older than Su Fang. He was a young master with a clear Tao bone, bright eyebrows, and eye-catching sword-like eyebrows. There were almost no muscles on his body. After a short exchange, Zhang Xingmang led the disciples of the Blue Cloud sect to activate the door and directly sent Su Fang and the other disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect through the door. In less than a few breaths, they arrived in front of the vast array. Blue Cloud sect dojo. This shuttle probably consumed a lot of spirit stones. The Blue Cloud sect was indeed a major immortal path sect. Such a reception, even the Changchun Immortal Sect and the Zunv Pavilion could only look at the dust. Eternal Blue Cloud Sect, worthy of the Blue Cloud Sect. In front of the barrier of the Blue Cloud Sect dojo, there was a heavenly stele erected with only 4 words. Eternal Blue Cloud Sect, the leisurely aura is released from the heavenly stele. The vast Blue Cloud Sect is indeed incomparable to the Celestial Sealing Sect. Su Fang released the origin energy and sensed the aura of the Blue Cloud Sect. And from the Blue Cloud Sect dojo, he sensed the equally amazing origin energy of the heavenly realm. A dojo actually had an entire world's origin energy. This point, it surpassed the Celestial Sealing Sect. The seals of the dojo's array formation contain profound sealing technique. The Blue Cloud sect probably has countless Qigong and Tao technique. All the disciples were deeply shocked when they entered the dojo. Because of the origin energy, the Blue Cloud sect dojo's spiritual qi was 10 times stronger than the Celestial Sealing sect. Under this kind of spiritual qi, what they felt was not oppression, but a kind of comfort and nature. This was the real reason why the disciples were amazed. Junior Brother Fang, we have heard that the Zunv Pavilion has set up an exchange day for you. Our sect has also decided to grandly hold the exchange day in half a month. Zhang Xingmang and a large number of disciples led Su Fang and the other disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect over layers of mountains. He calmly introduced to Su Fang politely, "You are tired from the journey, have a good rest. Our sect has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. In the heavenly realm, we should be the sect with the longest history. The dojo contains the essence of many Tao techniques, enough for you to comprehend divine abilities." Up ahead was an ancient mountain surrounded by spirit clouds, which made it seem like the palace of immortals in the legends. Zhang Xingmang continued, "I've heard about your challenge to Prince Shui. I'd love to go to the ceremony, but I have other important matters to attend to. Thankfully, I got to see Junior Brother Fang's splendor today." "Elder Brother Zhang, you know Prince Shui?" Su Fang asked in surprise. "I don't just know him. I've run into Prince Shui on a few occasions in other minor worlds, and we've gone to dangerous places together to train. My cultivation base is higher than his, but his abilities make him heaven-defying. The reason I came here to greet you is because I know Prince Shui very well. I wanted to see what was so special about you, and you didn't disappoint me. I can't see through you at all, Junior Brother Fang. Elder brother, you're too polite. My cultivation base is too low to be worth mentioning. When I fought Prince Shui, I only used some tricks, and I didn't use any magical treasures. If it had been a fight to the death, I wouldn't have been able to last more than a single move. No one knows about that." Zhang Xingmang smiled but didn't say anything. He didn't know how he saw Su Fang's words. After entering the Green Mountain, there were a large number of caves. They were all caves built against the mountain, but they were all extraordinary. Spiritual qi was about to leak out. Every disciple had a cave to rest in. Many Blue Cloud sect disciples had come to see what was going on. Naturally, they were all here to see how amazing Su Fang was. "This kid is extraordinary." Zhang Xingmang stood next to a young man in green robes. The green-robed man was slightly startled. His sword-like aura wave. "From his breathing, I feel that he can control any aura in our sect's training ground." That's not normal. How can someone casually absorb the aura of another person's training grounds? Unless it's someone in the tribulation realm. Zhang Xingmang was startled, but he didn't doubt the words of the man next to him. The man continued, I believe he can. In terms of divine abilities, he's on par with Prince Shui. I've fought Prince Shui several times before, and I feel a trace of threat from him. I'll take junior brother to see Feng Yu. Zhang Xingmang led the man towards the Green Mountain. Chapter 476. Zhang Xingmang and the man immediately came to the largest stone cave on the stone cliff. Su Feng appeared. When he saw the young man next to him, he was startled because he felt a power that had merged with the Qingyun Dao sect from him. His realm had also reached the peak of the catastrophe realm. This was a figure whose strength and cultivation were above Prince Shui's. Moreover, from the other party's token, Su Feng recognized that he was one of the 3 venerable Dao disciples of the Qingyun sect. Zhang Xingmang introduced solemnly, This is one of the venerable Dao disciples of our sect, Li Qianlong. He specially came over to chat with junior brother Feng. He's Li Qianlong, the peerless genius of the Qingyun sect, whose strength is comparable to Prince Shui's. He was shocked. The Qingyun sect also had 3 venerable Dao disciples, each of whom was a genius. Li Qianlong. He was one of them. Greetings, senior brother Li. Please take care of me in the future. Su Feng did not move. After bowing, he invited the two into the stone cave. The space in the stone cave was very spacious. All kinds of decorations were carved on the spot. Everything seemed natural, as if the tables and chairs contained supreme Dao technique. After Li Qianlong sat down, he looked around and said, The Qingyun sect is an anomaly in the Zhuotian realm. Su Feng listened curiously. Nowadays, most of the cultivation forces are focused on advancing by leaps and bounds. Under this kind of cultivation, cultivators progress rapidly and often achieve something in 1,000 years. However, the Qingyun sect is completely opposite. We still abide by the cultivation civilization passed down by our ancient ancestors. We pay attention to gradual progress. I have cultivated for 4,000 years and have only reached the catastrophe realm. Look at the Zhuotian realm. How many geniuses have crossed the catastrophe realm in 4,000 years? Li Qianlong said. He didn't seem like a young disciple of the venerate Dao, but more like a senior with experience. Originally, we pay attention to the Dao heart. Cultivation is mostly about comprehension. Of course, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with geniuses who can reach shocking levels of strength in a short time. It's just that the focus of cultivation is different. The latter nodded and sighed. It's no wonder that when I came to the Qingyun Dao sect, I felt a sense of stability and comfort. Although there are countless realms, it's not oppressive at all. The aura in the Dao sect is full of nature, as if the true qi of the disciples of the Qingyun Dao sect is formed naturally. Look at these cave abodes. Although there are artificial traces, they are actually created naturally by powerful beings using Dao. Senior brother Li's words are really incisive. Rumor has it that junior apprentice brother only cultivated for 100 years, and you already have your current cultivation level and strength. That also shows that there are no absolutes in the world. Everything has 2 sides. Add in the fact that demons and devils run amok, and if cultivators want to survive in this world, strength is the most important thing. I hope that in the future, I'll have a chance to compare notes with junior apprentice brother. Li Qianlong and Su Feng were chatting happily. In particular, that was something that Su Feng rarely encountered. Even though he was a disciple of the Venerable Dao, he did not seem to be noble or domineering at all. Instead, he seemed more like an ordinary disciple than a Venerable Dao disciple. If he was in the Immortal Sealing sect, Prince Shui, Huang Lingyao, and the Holy Longevity sect would treat him that way. Although Su Feng did not understand the Dao and mystical abilities of the Qingyun Dao sect, He could already tell that the Qingyun Dao sect was the foundation of the orthodox immortal Dao. How could the Qingyun Dao sect not be powerful since it could nurture such a disciple with such a state of mind and quality? After sending Li Qianlong away, Su Fang began to cultivate. Now that he had 3 young meridians, he only needed a small portion to fully recover. The spiritual energy of the Qingyun Dao sect was actually similar to that of the Zhuanv pavilion. However, the Qingyun Dao sect's aura was more stable and pure, and it was more helpful for cultivation. He cut a large number of bloody wounds on his body and also implanted immortal fruit slices. He also swallowed marrow-cleansing pills and pure essence pills that had reached the high quality of the Yang Soul realm. He activated the 9 Yang 9 transformations and fused it with the cold aura that surged out of the primordial chaos sacred realm, reaching a state of yin and yang fusion, causing his physical body to be in a state of yin and yang. In this state, be it the power of the physical body, the power of the immortal fruit, the marrow-cleansing pills and other pills, or the essence of the Qingyun Dao sect, they were all fused by Su Fang. He was also cultivating the Heavenly Fiend book, especially the Heavenly Fiend Disintegration Seal, which was the most wonderful Yang Soul Realm mystical ability. It just so happened that the Yang Soul Realm was cultivating the Yang Soul. Not only was he cultivating demonic Dao cultivation techniques, but he was also cultivating the 5 true poison qi. Su Fang was fusing many qigong techniques, including the illusory fire cloud, the green lotus sword sect's lotus curve sword qi, and other sword technique. The more mystical abilities he cultivated, the more he would fuse them with the essence of the Zhuotian realm and achieve a new mystical ability state. Perhaps this was the Taoist technique that Li Qianlong had mentioned, the Tao of cultivation. In fact, the energy in Su Fang's body was now more vast than before. The energy in the golden core of origin alone was very shocking, far surpassing Su Fang's own energy, because it was left behind by the 7-star child. While he was cultivating, many Dharma treasures were also in the process of self-cultivation. He entered the heaven and earth space again to take a look. The strength of the 77 junior commanders had recovered by more than half. It took more than 10 years, and no matter how many resources they consumed, the junior commanders still hadn't recovered. It was obvious how much energy they had consumed during the battle with Prince Shui. Bai Ling fooled around for a while more before coming out of the heaven and earth space. He played around near the stone cave for a while before shrinking his body and transforming into a white crane to cultivate at the side. The Lord of the 5 Poisons and Li Ziqing, he thought. Those 2 old-timers must have recovered quite a bit over the years. When I have time, I'll have to pay them a visit. Their help will be very important to me. I can't just rely on my subordinates to interact with them for long periods of time. As Su Fang worked on his cultivation, the 5 Poisons' true energy reminded him of the Lord of the 5 Poisons. By using the essence of the Blue Cloud sect, his cultivation speed increased, and he didn't even need to cultivate. Instead, he transformed it into power that flowed into his yang energy. 10 days later, the disciples of the House of Immortal Sealing were all gathered together, with Zhang Xingmang leading the way. Eventually, they arrived at a plateau where a natural square could be seen. It wasn't a spell formation. There were already quite a few Blue Cloud sect disciples in the square, numbering in the tens of thousands. The Blue Cloud sect had also sent an elder to oversee the meeting, although Zhang Xingmang was the one in charge. After some communication, the meeting was quickly held. The process was still the same as in the Xian NYU pavilion. From the longevity disciples to the Yang Soul disciples, round after round of battle, the results were similar to the Xian NYU pavilion. The Blue Cloud sect always had the upper hand, while the Celestial Bestowment sect's disciples were defeated time and time again. Su Fang could clearly see that the Blue Cloud sect disciples had a strong foundation. Their footwork and true energy were as solid as rock. Through Zhang Xingmang, He learned that the Blue Cloud sect disciples had to undergo 10 years of basic cultivation, which was body tempering. Body tempering included farming, planting spiritual herbs, various medicinal herbs, and polishing spirit stones, which Su Fang was familiar with. 10 years of body tempering was a must. After body tempering, they would begin their basic cultivation, and they had to set a time limit. How could the Blue Cloud sect disciples' foundation not be amazing? The Blue Cloud sect disciples' true energy was much more abundant than the House of Immortal Ceiling. The difference was clear. Senior Apprentice Brother Zhang, your sect's clear sky heaven heart Tao is truly powerful. Its power is comparable to a divine ability. It allows longevity sect disciples to cleverly neutralize attacks or control all the energy within their attack range even without divine abilities. There were still a few Yang soul disciples fighting. Seeing that the exchange day was about to end, Su Fang was chatting with Zhang Xingmang. Zhang Xingmang said proudly, "The clear sky heaven heart Tao is an ancient cultivation method. I reckon that it's one of a kind in the Zhuotian world. There aren't many Tao techniques that have a long history like the clear sky heaven heart Tao. It's also formed from the cultivation experiences left behind by the Blue Cloud sect's elders. It really is an extraordinary cultivation technique," praised Su Fang from the bottom of his heart. Half a day later, the exchange day ended perfectly. Although the House of Immortal Ceiling's disciples had been defeated, no one was disappointed. After all, this was an exchange, and the Blue Cloud sect had sent out their elite. After arranging the disciples, Zhang Xingmang brought Su Fang around the Blue Cloud sect's Tao field. They saw quite a few genius disciples bitterly cultivating in seclusion. Even though they knew Su Fang was a sovereign Tao disciple of the House of Immortal Ceiling, they were still silently cultivating. There's a shocking sword intent in the depths of your sect's Tao field. It seems to be supporting quite a few internal restrictions. Outside the central Tao field, Su Fang naturally didn't have the qualifications, nor did he ask to go in. After using his perception, he actually sensed a terrifying enchanted item. It was a sword, not a king-grade enchanted item. It should be an immortal sword. In other words, a Tao item. It wasn't as simple as a Tao item. It was a Tao item activated by the Blue Cloud sect. The sword energy released by the immortal sword was firmly protecting the Blue Cloud sect. This was the difference between the Emerald Cloud sect and other sections. It caused Su Fang to sense that if this immortal sword was activated in the dojo, even an expert like the 5 Poison Sect Master who truly stood at the peak would be killed. Zhang Xingmang praised, "I didn't expect Junior Brother Fang to be so impressive. Your perception is really amazing. In fact, that sword intent is the most precious treasure of our sect. It's called the Blue Cloud Sword. It's an indescribable ancient sword and also a Tao item." The Blue Cloud Sword ancient Tao item, was that really the case? Although the Blue Cloud Sword was indeed powerful, it didn't give Su Fang the feeling that it had the same terrifying power as the Yunshao Thunder Sword. The Rakshasa Jade Vase and the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda also didn't feel any pressure. There must be many Tao items in the Great World, and Tao items were also divided into different grades. The Blue Cloud Sword was probably inferior to the Yunshao Thunder Sword. The Blue Cloud Sword is important to our sect. I'm not qualified to see it, but I know that the sect has the strength to activate it. It seemed that Zhang Xingmang was also avoiding the important points and didn't want to tell too much about the Blue Cloud Sword. For the next few days, they browsed around the Blue Cloud Tao field. In the end, Li Qianlong also came to entertain Su Fang. The two of them talked about Tao techniques and mystical abilities, which made Su Fang sigh. When it came to cultivation, the Immortal Ceiling sect was really too far apart. "I wonder where you're going next, Junior Brother Fang. It's a pity that there's not enough time. I have to deal with the Night Spirit cult with some of the higher-ups of the sect, so I can't communicate with you often." After a long chat with Su Fang, Li Qianlong felt a sense of regret that they hadn't met earlier. Su Fang nodded. I'm planning to go to the Forbidden Snow Forest. I heard that it's the #1 natural barrier of the snowstorm continent. The Forbidden Snow Forest is indeed the #1 natural barrier of the snowstorm continent. If you go there to train, you have to be careful. Recently, the Night Spirit cult often appears there to kill righteous Tao cultivators who are training. Apart from the Night Spirit cult, there are also many dangers in the Forbidden Snow Forest. There are many ancient ice-sealed spaces in the depths of the forest, and the cold air is terrifying. Even the experts of the Zunv Pavilion might be frozen and imprisoned if they enter. After another long chat, Li Qianlong handed Su Fang a few maps. The most important one was the detailed map of the Forbidden Snow Forest, which was drawn in detail by Li Qianlong based on his own experience. In the end, Su Fang bade farewell and left. He also brought hundreds of prepared disciples to end the exchange trip with the Blue Cloud Tao sect and set off for the Forbidden Snow Forest. At the thought of the Night Spirit cult also appearing there, Su Fang became a little worried. The author's words. Recently, there have been many miraculous and heaven-defying, immortal venerable games. Everyone can go to Tieba, my QQ space, and the public WeChat to take a look. Chapter 477. Traversing through the vast snowy plains, it seeped into the depths of the snowstorm continent. Some places were frozen for eternity. The degree of hardness of the ice had already reached the level of mid-grade to high-grade magic treasures. Most of the places were unable to allow ordinary people to survive. There were scattered clans and empires located in the snowy lands. Normally, it would take 3 months to travel from the Azure Cloud sect to the Forbidden Snowy Forest. Fortunately, they did not encounter any accidents along the way. In just 2 months, the disciples had already arrived at the border of the Forbidden Snowy Forest under the lead of Su Fang. The vast forest and snowy plains were completely frozen. The earth was covered in silver, like a sacred place that could not be profaned by humans. Su Fang allowed everyone to rest for a while. Thinking of the horror of the Forbidden Snowy Forest, he ordered the disciples not to be careless. If there was any danger, they were to immediately mention it. After resting for a while, more than 100 people finally arrived at the Forbidden Snowy Forest. Snow was constantly falling from the sky, causing the line of sight to be less than 1,000 meters. The disciples were covered in cold air as they used the Jade Sky Cold Mysterious technique. They advanced in the wind and snow, gradually entering the 100-feet-tall ancient forest that was either frozen or evergreen. The cold wind above the forest was like the snowflakes, constantly sweeping. Occasionally, there would be winged demons searching for food in the cold wind. It was so cold that there was no breath of life. Longevity disciples were unable to stay here for a long time. Further in was the terrifying snowstorm. The snowstorm hovered above the Forbidden Snowy Forest, whistling. Its destructive power could tear apart Yang Soul Realm cultivators. Even Catastrophe Realm disciples were unable to break through the huge snowstorm. No wonder it was called a natural barrier. It was the #1 natural barrier in the snowstorm continent. The snowstorm was not only present in the high altitude, but it appeared continuously in the high altitude. Some snowstorms had a diameter of 100 miles, just like a snowstorm. Fortunately, the Forbidden Snowy Forest was vast. With the forest and snowy mountains blocking most of the power of the snowstorm did not explode in the forest. Even so, to every disciple, the snowstorms of different sizes above them were like giant monsters opening their mouths, causing them to be unable to calm down. Su Fang looked at the map. He was very grateful for Li Qianlong's detailed map. We need to enter the Forbidden Snowy Forest from the periphery. The interior is a snowstorm world that has been destroyed and controlled by a huge storm. Only after entering there can we be considered to have arrived at the Forbidden Snowy Forest. There are many cultivators and demons in the periphery. Everyone form groups of 10. Each group is 50 meters apart and form a formation. We will push forward in a row and slowly advance towards the center. If you encounter any demons, use the formation to deal with them. Don't go out and kill demons alone. All disciples, listen to my orders. With the young soul disciples in the lead, you will form small groups and sneak into the forest. The entire group will advance slowly in a square formation. Buzz. Suddenly, someone in front of him triggered something. Careful, there's movement. The Yang Ing disciple shouted to the crowd from the front. Chi Chi. In an instant, more than 10 white-robed cultivators flew out. They seemed to be motionless. In the snowy plains, it was impossible for cultivators to detect them. It's the Crimson Firmament Continent's immortal sealing sect. The white-robed cultivators were stunned. One of them waved his hand. Everyone, stop. We are indeed disciples of the celestial sealing sect. Who are you? A figure sat on Bai Ling's back. When the snowstorm swept over, he silently appeared behind the expert. What incredible speed! The white-robed cultivators were shocked and hurriedly turned around. When they saw Su Fang, they sized up his Taoist robes. Only then did their uneasiness dissipate. One of the men said, "We are disciples of the Snow Sage's cave. We are following the mission given by the sect's upper echelons to ambush here. Our main mission is to eliminate the Night Spirit Church's remnants in the forbidden snowy forest together with many other sections. Snow Sage's Cave. A second-rate righteous faction on the snowy continent. Although it was called second-rate, the Snow Sage's Cave had very few disciples. It was less than 1/10 of the large sections. However, even if they had few disciples, each of them was an outstanding person with extraordinary abilities. Second-rate was only based on the number of disciples. In terms of overall strength, the Snow Sage's Cave was actually a first-rate faction. There were also some famous geniuses. The Celestial Sealing Sects group relaxed. Su Fang bowed. So you are all disciples of the Snow Sage's Cave. I am Fang Yu, a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. I have come to the forbidden snowy forest to train under the sect's orders. That disciple was extremely shocked. You are the genius who recently challenged Prince Shui and became famous in the Zhua Heaven world, Fang Yu. Yes, I am. Su Fangda admitted. I didn't expect to see you here. I heard that the sect had sent an envoy to the Crimson Heaven continent to attend your sect's grand ceremony. I didn't expect to meet you here in such a short time. Unfortunately, we are in the middle of a mission and can't waste too much time. Fellow Taoist Fang, you can go straight ahead. There are several places where rogue cultivators gather. It is relatively safe. The other party seemed to be in a hurry. He ordered the disciples to make way for Su Fang and the others. Su Fang had the disciples return the greeting and then left. As they hurried along, they really did encounter some rogue cultivators. They then arrived at a mountain range. There were many valleys in the mountain range, and each valley was occupied by cultivators. This mountain range is a place for righteous Tao cultivators to rest. It seems like there are no valleys for us to rest in. Everyone can rest in this forest halfway up the mountain. Everyone arrived in front of a snow-covered mountain range. Su Fang and the young soul disciples sensed the path. After exploring, they finally chose a place halfway up the mountain that was hidden by a huge tree. They used a formation to let the disciples rest inside. There were quite a few young soul disciples patrolling around the formation. They hid in the snow and used the Jade Sky Cold Mysterious technique. Su Fang still used his perfection stage ability to oversee the formation. He sensed everything around him and waited for the disciples to rest before heading out again. Buzz. Su Fang, who was in the middle of cultivating and sensing, suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the snowy world behind him. There's a strand of demonic chi that escaped into the mountain range. What a powerful method! The demonic chi isn't strong, so it must have taken on a perfect human form and mixed in with the human cultivators. It seems it's a powerful big goblin. It just so happens that I'm lacking junior commanders. The more, the better. This time, we can suppress over 100 junior commanders. Even if Prince Shui uses a magical treasure, I can still fight him. He sent a decree to Jing Daoxin and the patrolling Yang Soul disciples, telling them to carefully guard the formation while he went out to scout. When he arrived at a valley, he saw quite a few cultivators resting in the formation around the valley. Some of the longevity cultivators were directly resting on the ground. Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda suddenly appeared in his divine aperture. Master, I sensed the demonic qi. It's a very powerful big goblin. Among the 77 junior commanders, none of the big goblin has its strength. Even the sky-covering monster is no match for it. The Leech King is also far from it. It's much stronger than Shu Shui and Dao Wuliang. As soon as he arrived at the valley, he confirmed that the demonic qi wasn't here. He let Xian Wang release its power to sense. After cooperating, he roughly determined the demonic qi's location. After passing through a mountain range, there was another valley below. Xian Wang was sure that the demonic qi was in this valley. Sensing carefully, he combined his perfection stage ability with Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. Gradually, he arrived at the periphery of the valley. Behind a big tree, he saw a sneaky figure. As he sensed closer, he heard the figure's cold laughter. So many fatties. There's a saying among the humans that 9 out of 10 fatties are rich. Su Fang didn't make a move. There were quite a few cultivators around, but they still didn't know the big goblin's background. After a while, the figure openly came to the valley. Su Fang also walked over from the other side. After carefully sizing him up, he was a young man. His skin was tender and white like a newborn baby. There were many strange things about this man. For example, he was bald, had a small belly, and had a fierce body. Especially his ears. The base of his ears was actually pink. It looked very obvious, but if one looked carefully, one would be able to see that half of his ears were pink. Brother, I have good news for you. Are you interested? The pink-eared man sat down beside a few very powerful cultivators. After resting for a while, he found a powerful middle-aged man who was hiding his cultivation. He was at the first level of the catastrophe realm. After approaching him, he tried to chat with him. The middle-aged man was well-built. He had a medium build, but his strength was indeed at the catastrophe realm. The middle-aged man wasn't interested. In such a dangerous place, he couldn't casually trust a person. Who would have thought that the pink-eared man would take out an undying flower? Moreover, it was an undying flower that had reached the catastrophe realm. The middle-aged man glanced at it and was clearly attracted by the flower. This was a spirit treasure that was of great help to catastrophe realm powerhouses. That place had a total of 4 or 5 catastrophe realm undying flowers. However, there were several ice monsters guarding it. I was only lucky enough to obtain one. If you and I join forces, there's a high chance we'll obtain a few more. Why don't you find someone else with such a good thing? Because brother's strength has reached the catastrophe realm, similar to mine. If you find someone weak, you won't be able to obtain the treasure. If you find someone strong, I'm afraid they'll kill me after obtaining the treasure. I can only be at ease if I find someone like brother with strength comparable to mine. It's not impossible for you to cooperate with me, but I can't trust you out of thin air. Unless you give me this undying flower and leave it with me temporarily, I won't have come here in vain. The pink-eared man was reluctant. After hesitating for a while, he finally nodded. He carefully handed the undying flower to the old man. When the old man took it and revealed a greedy smile, the pink-eared man also sneered. Master, that undying flower contains a strange demonic poison. It's a pity that the moment that Catastrophe Realm Powerhouse touched the undying flower, he was unknowingly poisoned. and the longer he touches the undying flower, the deeper the poison will be. Hearing their conversation, he carefully watched the entire process. While Su Fang was pondering, Rakshasa Yu Qingping also reminded him. A demon. It was truly cunning. How could it give away a catastrophe realm undying flower to an outsider for nothing? Thinking about it, there was definitely some trick involved. Unfortunately, that middle-aged man needed this spirit treasure too much and couldn't win against his greed. The two quickly left the mountain range. Su Fang quietly followed behind. Using his perfection realm strength, the human and demon were unable to escape his pursuit. 2 hours later, they arrived at a glacier in the depth. Under the glacier, there was an inconspicuous opening. In front of a crack in the glacier that could only fit 2 people. The pink-eared man whispered, "Brother, how many years has this glacier been covered for? From the outside it looks like a glacier, but inside it's a canyon that's covered. It wasn't easy for me to find this place by accident. Carefully sense it. Is the aura coming from the opening carrying the scent of the undying flower?" The chubby middle-aged man thought for a moment and looked coldly at the other party. "It is indeed the aura of the undying flower. We agreed beforehand that we would split the undying flower in half. If you don't keep your promise, then I won't be polite to you." Chapter 478. The pink-eared man's bald head suddenly flashed a circle of light. "I'm a man of my word. Naturally, we'll split the undying flower. The demonic aura inside is overwhelming. You and I have to be very careful. Let's go." The fat cultivator was bold. In order to obtain the undying flower and improve his cultivation, even if it was a demon's cave, he was willing to break in. The two entered the ice crack. After 3 breaths, a figure flashed and used the Great Perfection stage ability. He was surprised. What a strong demonic aura. It's hidden under the perfect ice layer. It's definitely the Big Goblin's dojo. Xianwang said, "Master, this big goblin is estimated to have the strength of a high-level calamity realm expert. The aura of the spiritual pearl in its body is still strong. It's also a giant monster that has survived countless years. Are you confident in suppressing it?" "Hee, I'm confident in dealing with this big goblin. Besides, Xianwang has recovered to the 9th level. It's just a little bit away from reaching the peak. At that time, it will perfectly merge with Master. Even if it's a Daojin Fox Mother or Old Toad Immortal, it can be suppressed. Xianwang is the nemesis of demons." "Can you tell what kind of demon it is from the demonic aura?" "Violent, murderous, and shocking internal blood and resentment. It's not an ordinary demon. I can only see most of its strength. As for how powerful it is, I'll have to fight it to know. However, it's qualified to be a junior commander, or even a senior commander." Hearing Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda's rough analysis, Su Fang was very confident and quietly entered the ice crack. The interior was indeed a canyon sealed by ice. It was estimated to be 5 miles deep. There were some giant trees that had not been frozen to death. Moreover, the spiritual aura was very rich. In addition to the spiritual aura, there was also violent demonic aura. Using the Great Perfection stage ability, he could clearly hear the 2 people's breathing coming from a mile ahead. There are indeed several undying flowers. I'm afraid the strength of the demons here is extraordinary. I'm not very sure. In short, the last time I came here, I successfully took one, and then I was chased by several demons. I was lucky to escape." The two talked in private. After Su Fang heard the movement, he flew to the top of the tree and approached the center of the canyon from the sky. A fiery demonic aura was slowly rising from the center of the canyon. His perfect vision allowed him to see through the demonic chi. In the center of the demonic chi was a cauldron made of spirit stones that looked like a furnace. There were a few corpses around it, and the flowers of immortality bloomed on the corpses. Indeed, every single one of them was an undying flower at the height of the catastrophe realm. Any one of those flowers could help a tribulation expert break through to the next level, or help him face the 9 cycles life-seizing tribulation. There are actually a few cultivators who are still breathing inside the furnace. Their life auras are disappearing as if they are being sucked away by some kind of power. The abilities of great perfection paragons were truly amazing. Even from a distance of 1 kilometer, they could still see everything clearly. Black Yellow, sneak into the sky and wait for my orders before ambushing that pink-eared man. I wonder if there's still a big goblin here? He released the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda and shrunk it to the size of a finger. Then, it traveled through the forest along with the cold air. Su Fang slowly approached, getting closer and closer to the 2 masters. Demonic poison! Suddenly, the fat middle-aged cultivator's exclamation came from the front. Su Fang arrived at the top of the tree and looked over. It turned out that not far from the center of the demonic aura, the fat middle-aged cultivator's body was emitting a shocking amount of demonic poison. Moreover, it had formed a sealing formation with the poison gas around it. It turned out that the pink-eared man had already prepared everything. Not only had he planted the demonic poison in advance, but he had also buried a poison formation in the canyon. The pink-eared man suddenly flew out and activated the poison formation, causing the demonic poison to become even stronger. Ha ha! Demonic aura! You're a big goblin! Damn it! Only now did the fat middle-aged cultivator realize the pink-eared man's true identity. Under the pressure of the demonic poison and the formation, he opened his mouth and spat out a high-grade flying sword. The flying sword's quality was very good. It was like a sword light that suddenly stabbed towards the pink-eared man. Pung! The fat cultivator's strength was already very strong. Adding on a high-grade flying sword, his attack power was almost comparable to a 5th-level catastrophe expert at such a close distance. After all, the power of a high-grade flying sword could reach the peak of the catastrophe realm. The pink-eared man's defensive aura blocked the flying sword, but he was forced back several steps. His Taoist robe was suddenly torn apart, and his muscles constantly swelled. Moreover, his body flashed with a shocking demonic aura and the luster of magic treasures. Zzz. The pink-eared man, who was originally an ordinary human, suddenly grew 10 feet taller. His arms and legs were thicker than an elephant's legs. His body was covered with half-foot-long black hair, and his muscles were as terrifying as iron. Demon! This was a human-shaped big goblin. Its lower body was like a human's, but its head was a demon's head. Pig demon! Su Fang was so shocked that he kept blinking his eyes. It turned out that the big goblin was a pig demon with a human body and a pig's head. He never expected to encounter such a demon. He had seen many snake demons, bear demons, and so on, but this was the first time he saw a pig demon. When he looked at the pig demon again, its body was still changing. It was covered in armor, and there was a snow-white skull on each of its shoulders. There were bony hands tied to its waist, and its feet were similar to cow hoof. The pig demon's head was round, and its nose was facing the sky. 2 curved fangs grew out of its mouth, and its pair of demon eyes were suffused with a violent bloody light. The 2 most different parts of it were its head and ears. When it transformed into its human form, the pig demon was bald, but now it had thin white hair that looked like braids that hung loosely on its head. Other than the white hair, there were also the pig demon's ears. The pair of ears were half a foot higher than the top of its head. Compared to its dark skin, its ears were incomparably pink, like the skin of a baby, and even a little translucent. There was very little white on its bald head, a pair of pink big ears that were higher than the top of its head, and a round belly. It was really a strange pig demon. It was also a big fat pig that was covered in fat. You're a beast, stupid pig. The fat cultivator was scared out of his wit. When he saw the pig demon, He hurriedly controlled the flying sword that was hovering above and shot out another meteor towards the pig demon. The fat pig demon also took out a large crescent blade. It turned out that it was also a superior grade Dharma artifact. However, it did not fuse with the saber. It directly used the hardness of the saber to slash at the flying sword. This is this king's training ground. After being poisoned by this king's demonic poison, how long can you last? Clang! The flying sword was knocked away. This was a fused flying sword, but it was still knocked away by the pig demon's unfused saber. What did this mean? The pig demon had unparalleled divine power. Just by using the hardness of the saber, it was able to release such powerful divine power. The fat cultivator was so scared that he wanted to run away, but the demonic poison all over his body combined with the surrounding poison formation made it impossible for him to fly away. He could only run for his life step by step. The flying sword tangled with the pig demon and attacked it again and again. However, after half an incense stick's time, the fat cultivator's body began to rot. His skin turned black, and some black hair grew out. It seemed like he was turning into a pig demon. This king's demonic poison is not ordinary. As long as you're infected by it, your body will be devoured by the demonic poison. Then, this king's blood essence poison will change your life essence. The most important thing for humans is essence. We demons also like essence from humans the most. The pig demon said proudly, "Stop struggling. Escape." The fat cultivator was unwilling to give up and took out his young nascent soul. The young nascent soul was more than a foot tall. After flying out, it controlled the flying sword to release a storm of sword light. Heaven-devouring roar. The pig demon's arms shook, and its body half arched like a wolf. It opened its mouth and spat out a blood-colored pig that was a few dozen feet long. The giant pig was its divine ability. It opened its mouth and bit down on the sword light storm. With a boom, the storm was torn apart by the giant pig's bite. What a powerful pig demon! Xian Wang, suppress. The pig demon had just used its divine ability, but before it could stand up, a light flashed above it. 2-2. A 6-story gold and silver pagoda suddenly grew from a few dozen feet tall to 100 feet tall and attacked the pig demon. A human actually snuck in. The pig demon's reaction was too shocking. However, it was already unable to dodge. It stared at the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda. It's even a king-grade Dharma artifact. It's specially made to counter the king-grade Dharma artifacts of my demon race. Wrath of the Demon God. There were still 5 feet left. Just as the pig demon was about to be suppressed, the pig demon waved its hand and grabbed at the furnace. An electric snake flashed in its hand, and a blood-colored whip appeared in its hand. Bang! The whip turned into a disc and blocked the pig demon's head. The Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda pressed down on it, and the pig demon was forced to fall a few dozen feet. However, the Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda's power was blocked by the blood-colored whip. Su Fang was extremely shocked. That's not an ordinary Dharma artifact. It's a Tao artifact. Ha ha! The pig demon spewed out a heaven-defying murderous aura. The blood-colored whip suddenly unfolded, and a strange blood-colored demonic aura emerged. Come back! The flaming cloud wings swept over in midair. Su Fang stepped out with the heaven-conquering divine steps and waved his hand. Whoosh! The Xian Wang 6 Paths Pagoda immediately flew over and disappeared in his palm. What a despicable human! You actually used such an extraordinary Dharma artifact to sneak attack this king. The pig demon spat out saliva angrily. Its muscles were trembling. The blood-colored whip in its hand seemed to be alive and was about to attack Su Fang. Swish! A burning demonic aura pierced through the air. In the blink of an eye, the pig demon had blocked the exit. You let your grandpa pig eat a mouthful of anger. Don't even think about escaping. Escape? I don't plan on escaping. The pig demon was so heavy, but its speed was extremely fast. Xian Huang appeared in his divine aperture. Master, this subordinate seems to have some impression of this pig demon, but I'm not sure. Only when I fought with experts did I feel its true strength. I'm afraid it has already reached the peak of the Calamity Realm. It also has an extraordinary Dao artifact in its hand. Fortunately, this subordinate didn't use its full strength. What kind of monster is it? It had a Dao artifact. Furthermore, it was not an ordinary Dao artifact, but a demonic artifact from the devil race. In the true text that this subordinate refined, there were many records about the devil race's monsters left behind by the refiner. There are very few pig demons in the world. There is only one bloodline called the Ma Zhu. The Ma Zhu is an ancient vicious beast, and also an ancient divine beast. Just like the ape and dog that we encountered in the past, it is also an ancient mutated giant demon. The Ma Zhu is usually in a large world or in the myriad world. It is almost impossible for a Ma Zhu to appear in a small world. Xian Huang said in surprise. Ma Zhu, what a strange devil race. Human, let's see how your grandpa pig will tear you apart. No, this king will not tear you apart. He will suck you alive until only your bones are left. The giant pig demon put away its blood-red whip and shouted coldly, "To deal with a young soul cultivator like you, there is no need for this king's devil god's wrath." Su Fang felt that the pig demon was very interesting. This was a battle of strength. He asked indifferently, "You are an ancient vicious beast?" "This king is an ancient vicious beast. Could it be that you know my origin?" The pig demon's expression changed slightly. "You are a Ma Zhu vicious beast. You know this king's origin?" The pig demon was shocked and looked at Su Fang as a monster. Clearly, it could see that a human had no reason to know its origin. The pig demon fiercely asked, "Could it be that the origin spirit of your king-grade magic artifact told you?" "It must be so. That origin spirit has the power to restrain my devil race. It must have a certain understanding of the devil race." Yes. The Ma Zhu vicious beast's muscles swelled, and a murderous aura burned in its eyes. "That's good. This king will not let you go. If you know this king's origin, if it spreads, the humans will cut me into pieces." Chapter 479. Su Fang gradually activated the seal, releasing his true qi and aura. "I also want to see how strong you are, and then I'll think about how to deal with you." Even a cultivator in the catastrophe realm would be scared to death in front of this king. You're just an ant in the first stage of the Yang Soul realm. How dare you ignore this king just because you have a king-grade artifact? You have a king-grade artifact, but I have an extraordinary Dao artifact. Whether it's strength or artifact, this king will definitely defeat you. Bang! Bang! Good timing. I want to see how much of a difference there is between you and me at the peak of Calamity Realm. Crown Prince Shui is probably at the same height. He released the seal on his body. His fleshly body in the great circle ignited, and his true energy and fleshly body surged with God power. God power poured into his right arm, and with the help of the ruler Heaven God's step, sparks flew everywhere. Bang! His fist collided with the huge fist of the ferocious Pygma beast. It was like a steel knife against a steel knife. Bang! 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 In a breath, Su Fang's weak fist, along with the demon qi, was shaken back by the divine power. Humans shouldn't have such divine power. On the other side, the ferocious pig-horse beast no longer ignored its opponent like before. It approached Su Fang step by step from within the flames and was especially surprised. Furthermore, you are only at the first stage of the young infant realm. Logically speaking, under this king's fist, even if you have divine power, you should have been instantly smashed into meat paste. However, you only spurted out blood. This king knows. Since ancient times, Humans have always been the weakest among the creatures in the world, standing at the bottom of the food chain. Even today, most of the cultivators are still food in front of the demon race. Only the body refinement cultivators in the ancient legends, those human cultivators, didn't focus on cultivation. Instead, they pursued the pinnacle of the physical body. In the end, they cultivated a perfect physical body. Bang! Bang! Su Fang, who was controlling his body, was shocked when he heard this. How can a monster know so much about human cultivators? Do you think that demons don't know how to cultivate? Do you think that only humans are pursuing the path of immortality? The ferocious beast said proudly. The demons you know are the most lowly existences, just like the mortals among you humans. High-level demons are immortal beasts, divine beasts and ancient beasts, they all know how to cultivate. Humans can create cultivation methods, why can't demons do the same? Although I'm a ferocious beast, but in ancient times, I was also a divine beast. It's just that humans are used to calling us divine beasts, so you don't know the innate abilities of divine beasts. Our memories can be passed down from generation to generation through the divine blood in our bodies, so even though I'm in a small world, I still know many cultivation secrets. Bang! 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 After hearing these words, Su Fang's body and mind were greatly impacted. It turned out that he had never known about the monster race. Why would I waste my breath on a dead man like you? I'm only telling you this because you've inherited the ancient path of cultivation. Once I devour your body, I'll become even stronger. One day, I'll go to the great world and spread the might of the Pygma god race. The Pygma god race's eyes shone with a ferocious light. Bang! Su Fang smiled seriously. I've made up my mind. I'm going to suppress you and make you my commander. Haha, it's impossible for humans to suppress any of my calamities. Furthermore, you're just a young soul cultivator. Take out that royal-grade magical item of yours. Let's see how this king will use the demon god's fury to tear your broken pagoda to pieces. Is that so? Su Fang was already using the origin sacred mirror. Bang! Bang! The bang! Bang! His divine fist was invincible, and his aura was like a huge mountain falling from the sky. Bang! 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 A huge amount of green evil primordial fire poured out like a waterfall and covered the ferocious Pygma beast, trapping it within. However, the ferocious Pygma beast's skin was so thick that it only felt a sense of fear. The green evil primordial fire could not cause any damage to it. Bang! In fact, why is there another power that can suppress the monster race? The ferocious Pygma beast felt that something was wrong, but it didn't care. You human, you want to use that pagoda against me again? How many times have I told you? Unless you have a Tao artifact, no Dharma treasure from the mortal realm can do anything to me. You're an ancient beast. Bang! Su Fang laughed so hard that his eyebrows narrowed into a line. Bang! In the blink of an eye, the ferocious Pygma beast was entangled. Bang! Bang! Within the red light, the ferocious Pygma beast finally panicked. It unleashed its aura as if it was facing a great enemy. However, it was soon unable to move. No amount of aura could shake the red light. Bang! 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 Who are you? How can a young soul stage 1 human have such power? Bang! 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 Su Fang replied calmly, Don't you have a Tao artifact? Why don't you give it a try? You're courting death. Wrath of the demon god. Even the wrath of the demon god is afraid of your power. Bang! 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 You! The ferocious Pygma beast didn't want to be trapped in such a dangerous situation. It started to struggle and used all kinds of methods, but it was unable to form any seals because its body couldn't move. Bang! 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 Why can't I use my Tao artifact? Why can't I use my demon god body? Why can't I use my demon god body? Why can't I use my demon god body? Because this magical treasure of mine can shackle any greater demon, as well as any magical treasure. Because it surpasses all magical treasures that are inferior to it will become obedient before its might. Your demon divinity's wrath is indeed powerful and not an ordinary Tao item, but it is still far inferior to my magical treasure. Do you have any other moves? Bang, 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 bang. I can kill you right now, suppress you, or torture you for the rest of your life. That's one of the possible outcomes for you. Another outcome is to become my commander. I won't make you a slave, and I'll let you cultivate. But in the future, you'll have to be my helper. Once I'm strong enough, I'll return your freedom to you. That's because I'm only at the first stage of the Yang soul realm. You can see how insignificant I am in this world. Su Fang was very direct and clear. This king is an ancient vicious beast. His position in the demon race is very high. Bang, 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 bang. Su Fang's expression hardened. Thinking that he didn't have much time, he said, I can turn you into a roasted pig. I've already suppressed many demons, but none of them are obedient. They all want to struggle and endure pain before they submit to me. Do you want to try it too? I don't mind. Once I do it, you'll submit to me and become my slave. If you agree now, at least we'll still have a relationship of cooperation. You have to give me some benefits. If you don't give this king some benefits, I won't be able to eat or drink well with you. What's the point? Bang! A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. It was still an ancient vicious beast. Even if it was reduced to a chicken coop, it wasn't a weak chicken. That's not a problem. I want to absorb the essence of humans alive, so you have to give me a lot of humans to cultivate with. I'm a human, so I can't do that. But I have immortal blood and endless resources. In the future, when I kill strong enemies, I'll give you their corpses. How about it? I also have many medicinal pills, including the life-seizing recreating pill. Deal. Su Fang was startled. He didn't know how to react. When he looked again, he couldn't believe that he was negotiating with a pig. He sighed. Everyone says that pigs have brains, but pigs aren't stupid at all. Accept my Yuan spirit imprint. Chi. With a flick of his finger, a special imprint shot out from the red light towards the ferocious pig. The ferocious pygma beast didn't resist. In fact, it couldn't resist. The primordial spirit imprint shot into its forehead, and the red light instantly disappeared. Look at this. Su Fang grabbed a drop of the ice-sealing king's blood. Bang! Su Fang was generous enough to give it to him. The ferocious pygma beast returned to its chubby human form. Its bald head was shiny. After swallowing the immortal's blood, it actually looked younger. It was only a few years older than Su Fangda. It reached out its hand greedily. Give me some more. I'm only letting you know the benefits, but you haven't given me any benefits yet. Once you've made a contribution in the future, there will be plenty of fresh blood. Su Fang looked down at the expert who was about to be killed by the demonic poison. Capture that person. Chi. The pig demon flashed back, carrying the fat cultivator who had been infected by the demonic poison. For Calamity Stage Slaves 2. It was directly sucked into the dark yellow space and arrived in front of the pig demon fire furnace. You've harmed a lot of humans. Su Fang shook his head as he looked at the human cultivators in the furnace who could no longer be saved. Nature, the nature of demons. These few human cultivators can't even compare to a few drops of immortal essence blood. There was no pity in the pig demon's eyes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With a wave of his hand, several undying flowers became Su Fang's possessions. Su Fang thought for a moment. Enter my pagoda. This pagoda is about to become my life-bound magic treasure. You can absorb any energy inside, but you can't appear beside me all the time. Also, I need to give you a name. The ferocious pygma beast said, This king already has a name. His surname is Zhu, and his name is Huang. Zhu Huang. You humans have an emperor, so this king is the emperor of the demon race. Zhu Huang, Pig Emperor. In the end, he was still a pig. Laughing uncontrollably, he sucked Zhu Huang into the profound yellow space and gave it a drop of immortal essence blood. It was much easier to deal with the powerful big goblin. Chapter 480. He then searched the Vermilion Emperor training grounds for a while and picked any useful spirit herbs. When he returned to the main camp, the disciples were all cultivating peacefully. While cultivating, the Vermilion Emperor needed more immortal essence blood from the newly subdued wild pigma. Vermilion Emperor, you're so strong, but you can't absorb enough immortal essence blood. Su Fang was afraid of the wild pigma's ability. Immortal essence blood was something that both humans and demons would find hard to control. But the Vermilion Emperor could refine a drop of immortal essence in just a few days. This speed had even surpassed his own. This king is an ancient mutated beast. His body contains the divine power of mutated beasts. He can refine immortal energy. The Vermilion Emperor wasn't polite at all. Su Fang gave him a drop of blood. First, get used to the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda. There are 77 minor commanders in front of you. You are now the Grand Commander. There was once a Grand Commander here, the Pring race's Greenfeather King. You actually suppressed the Pring race's Big Goblin. The Vermilion Emperor trembled. The Pring race is a true divine race. In the ancient era, countless human emperors fought throughout the universe and established the primal chaos world. But the Pring race is mostly in the myriad worlds. There are also some in the greater worlds, but the Pring race shouldn't appear in the lesser worlds. I'm not too sure about that either. In short, as the Grand Commander, you have to lead many minor commanders in cultivation. You also have to fuse with the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda. In the future, your magic power and that of the minor commanders will be added to my body, allowing me to fight against unparalleled experts. So that's how it is. Don't misuse the demon god's fury. If you attack my Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda, that is my life-bound magic treasure. Although it hasn't reached the Grand Ascension stage, it can't take a heavy blow. If you have any ill intentions, I will burn you into a suckling pig. Of course not, of course not. I, a pig demon, always keep my word. The Vermilion Emperor thought about how Su Fang had even more terrifying magic treasures and could only be honest. What do you know about the Forbidden Snow Forest? Are there any powerful big goblins or treasures in the depths of the forest? This king knows quite a bit. There are quite a few big goblins like this king. There are at least over 100 of them. They are scattered in the forest. The cold chi-chi is water. Is water. Is. Extreme Een stones are formed from the essence of the Forbidden Snow Forest's frigid chi. Although they're called spirit stones, they're actually spirit stones. Even a small piece of a frigid chi spirit stone can be used to help cultivators or greater demons cultivate frigid chi technique. It can also be used to attack, suppress fire-type divine abilities, or even aid in the cultivation of a yang soul. The ancient spirit fireflies are truly treasures among treasures. I heard that there is a special seal in a certain space under the Forbidden Snow Forest. The ancient spirit fireflies came out of that sealed space. They are a kind of spirit insect. Although they are small, they have many abilities. For example, they can be used to cleanse their marrow, controlling the ancient spirit fireflies to open their meridians, and then using their blood to nourish them, they can become offensive treasures. Furthermore, the ancient spirit fireflies have the ability to sense life auras. If you can obtain this kind of spirit beast, you won't be able to escape from powerful enemies. Ice spirit water, extreme Een stone, ancient spirit fireflies. All of them were treasures, especially the last two. The ice spirit water was indescribably useful to Su Fang. It was the perfect spirit water to refine the yang strengthening pill and the life seizing recreating pill. The extreme Een stone could be used to cultivate the jade heaven ice mysterious art, and it could be placed in the divine aperture to help a yang soul cultivate. The ancient spirit fireflies were even more wondrous. Su Fang's perception was shocking, but he didn't have the ancient spirit firefly's ability to sense life auras. After thinking for a moment, Su Fang asked, "These 3 treasures aren't easy to obtain, right?" The ice spirit water is the easiest to obtain, but you also have to go deeper. You have to go to those ice springs and wait for them to erupt. There are many powerful big goblin and human experts fighting over it. If you don't have the strength, you can only rely on luck to obtain the ice spirit water. The extreme Een stone is even deeper. It can only be found in the ice rivers and ice rocks beneath the ice world. There are many big goblin entrenched in those places, and there are also humans searching for treasures there. The cold chi is also very terrifying. It can freeze a cultivator's true chi and then freeze them there. They will die, but their corpses will remain there forever. As for the space where the ancient spirit fireflies are, no one can pinpoint their exact location. Sometimes 1 or 2 ancient spirit fireflies will appear, and they will be obtained by cultivators with good fortune. Many righteous Tao factions and devils from the Snow-Wind continent are searching below. There are also factions from the Crimson Firmament continent, the Starfish continent, the Devil King continent, and so on. And deep below, there are several giant demons even stronger than this king. For example, the 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Ice Silkworm Demon Sovereign are the giant demons of the Forbidden Snow Forest. These 2 giant demons are dozens of times stronger than this king. If any expert from the Zhuotian world comes, they won't be able to easily suppress them. Are the Tao True Fox Mother, Old Immortal Toad, and the Sky Drill Rat Emperor stronger, or the 9-segment Earth Dragon and the Ice Silkworm Demon Sovereign stronger? You also know about the Tao True Fox Mother, the Sky Drill Rat Emperor, and the Old Immortal Toad. That's right, you mentioned the Pung race's Green Feather King. This king has a bit of an impression of him. In the past, he was indeed a big goblin whose name shook the Zhuotian world. But later on, there was no news of him. In short, this king can tell you that these big goblins might be a bit different in strength, but when they use their abilities, they are all unable to do anything to each other. The Vermilion Emperor mentioned another 2 peerless big goblins. It was no wonder the Forbidden Snow Forest was the Snow-Wind continent's most terrifying natural stronghold. Su Fang beamed. Then let's work together. If we get any treasures, we'll split them equally. How about it? The Vermilion Emperor was embarrassed. You're taking advantage of this king. This king's strength is profound, and he also understands this place. Of course he'll get more treasures. Why don't you give those 4 Calamity Realm human trash to this king? Oh. Releasing his young nascent soul, the Vermilion Emperor happened to see the 4 Calamity Realm slaves in another space. No matter where the Vermilion Emperor went, he had to keep an eye on the humans. That won't do. Right now I'm lacking slaves to refine pills. Moreover, these 4 are all Calamity Realm cultivators. They can also use their magic power to support me and help me deal with strong enemies. Furthermore, I'm planning to temporarily let these 4 run errands for you, to help you obtain treasures in this forbidden snow forest. At most, I'll give you more immortal blood essence after the matter is done. Tell me the truth, where did you get the immortal blood essence? Xianjia Gate. You've been to Xianjia Gate and obtained treasures from it. This king has also entered it. But in the outer space, he couldn't find any treasures. He was even nearly chased by human experts and forced into the deeper layers of the immortal formation. In short, the immortal blood essence is enough for you and me to cultivate for many years. When I have enough strength in the future, I'll try Xianjia Gate again. There are many immortals inside. I've seen them before. Haha, then this king is willing to work for you. Give me some blood in advance. It seemed like he had met a beggar. Furthermore, he was begging for food and had no choice but to give it to him. There was no choice. The Vermilion Emperor was an ancient mutated beast. In the future, he would grow into a peerless big goblin. Such a monster couldn't be forcefully suppressed. He had to think of other ways to deal with him. I have quite a few immortal fruits here. He thought of other ways. Compared to the icebound king's blood, he had quite a few treasures. Immortal fruit. How many immortal fruits had he obtained? There should be at least 10,000 of them. After obtaining a few immortal fruits, the Vermilion Emperor actually transformed into a huge black scarlet boar in the profound yellow space. It burned its demonic chi and opened its mouth to swallow an immortal fruit. Zzz. After swallowing the immortal fruit, its demonic chi burned even more fiercely. The Vermilion Emperor knelt down in pain and slowly assimilated the power of the immortal fruit. Monster. With just one bite, he directly swallowed the immortal fruit. One had to know that Su Fang had also cut the immortal fruit into countless pieces and assimilated them piece by piece. Only then could he melt the immortal fruit in a short period of time. It seemed that the Vermilion Emperor would need quite a bit of time to digest the effect. Su Fang took out some marrow-cleansing pills and gave them to the 4 Catastrophe Realm slaves to continue recovering from their injuries. After resting for about 5 days, he gave the order and led over 100 disciples to continue onward. On the other side of the forest, in a glacier, swish, 2 middle-aged men stood on flying swords and directly flew into the forest from the edge of the storm. They floated in the air above the glacier, emitting killing intent. Since the Crown Prince asked us to help, it means that this cultivator called Fang Yu isn't simple. Just kill him. We need a rising star like the Crown Prince. If he can become the leader of the Immortal Sealing Sect, then we'll have a huge ally. Even if he can't become the leader, the future Crown Prince will be very strong. How many people in the 8 Directions minor worlds will be his match? Let's split up. We have to find this person. Let's contact the Crown Prince first and let him know that we've arrived at the Forbidden Snow Forest. Buzz. The 2 experts worked together to activate a rune talisman. About half an incense stick's time. Prince Shue's voice came from the rune talisman. Brothers, I'm really sorry for making the 2 of you come all the way from the Xinyuan Empire to the Zhuo Tian domain. What is the Crown Prince saying? You've helped us a lot in the Divine Origin planet, allowing us to gain a foothold in front of the prince. Then I won't be polite. This Fang Yu is currently at the 1st stage of the Yang Soul Realm, and his strength is between the 8th and 10th stages of the Catastrophe Realm. If the 2 of you want to kill him, then you have to launch a surprise attack and deal a heavy blow within a few moves. If he doesn't notice, then you can easily kill him in 1 move. Brother Shue, we thought that the person you wanted us to kill was someone as strong as you, but it turned out to be a Yang Soul cultivator. The 2 of you should be careful. Because this person is also a sovereign Dao disciple of the Immortal Sealing Sect, I can't do it myself. We understand. Brother Shue, don't worry. After the 2 finished speaking, they sealed the rune talisman. Swish. The 2 experts prepared for a while and suddenly split up, flying towards the depths of the Forbidden Snow Forest. In the depths of the forest, they were getting closer and closer to the central forest. Su Fang was leading over 100 disciples on a journey for several days. They flew past layer after layer of forest, but they didn't encounter any danger. When some cultivators saw that it was the Immortal Sealing Sect, they consciously gave up on other thoughts. 2 young soul disciples flew over. Senior apprentice brother, we met a disciple of the Eternal Spring Immortal Sealing Sect. He said that the Night Spirit cult appeared in front of us and killed over a dozen cultivators. They are currently searching for us, so they want us to change direction. Night Spirit cult. After Su Fang gave the order, all the disciples flew to the right. But after passing through several layers of snow, the air was filled with the smell of blood. After a while, the disciples saw several corpses with their hearts gouged out. Those cultivators had died with their hearts gouged out. They had died while still alive. Everyone, be extremely careful. Whether it's a righteous path faction or an unfamiliar cultivator, don't let down your guard. When Su Fang saw the corpses, it was as if he saw the night spirit cult's experts nearby, secretly eyeing the immortal sealing sect disciples. It's the immortal sealing sect's disciples. There are over 100 of them, but not a single one is in the catastrophe realm. As expected, in the distant forest, a snow-white figure suddenly appeared from the snow. Chapter 481. The snow-white figure turned out to be a young woman. However, his body was pale, and he looked like a walking corpse. After the woman formed the hand seal, a Xian Guang appeared between her eyebrows. A cold order came from the Xian Guang. The sect needs a large number of hearts to perform a sacrifice. Since the celestial sealing gate's disciples are weak, I will immediately send the surrounding disciples over. Follow them for now. Yes, altar master. After receiving the order, the woman released the aura of the medallion at her waist and followed the disciples of the celestial sealing gate closely. At night. Swish. Swish. In the dark night, black-robed people flew over one after another. They met up with the woman in a forest. More and more people appeared, and from their attire, it was easy to tell that they were night spirit followers. Lord Vice Altar Master. A cloaked old man was greeted by more than 50 night spirit cult experts who bowed to him. The old man said, I've already carefully sensed the celestial sealing sect's disciples. They are indeed a group of longevity stage and yang soul stage disciples. That's great. The branch altar needs a large number of hearts. Even the hearts of the weak will be of great use. While the celestial sealing sect's disciples are resting, we should immediately surround them and activate the poison cloud formation. Understood. Most of the 50-plus experts were in the catastrophe realm. Like black wasps, they swarmed over. There's movement. An icy valley a few miles away. The formation enveloped the valley. Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly heard a faint sweeping sound, surrounding the snowy valley. Not normal. Disciples, listen up. There's a group of experts approaching the base. No matter what happens, you can't leave the formation. Everyone, work together and use the formation's power to resist the external attacks. Using his young infant, he instantly transmitted his voice to every disciple who was resting. What happened? Something big is happening. Disciples like Qian Huanyun sprang to their feet. After he finished speaking, he sensed that the young soul disciple was waiting in the formation to activate the defense. Having made up his mind, he left the formation and arrived in the air above the forest. Vermilion Emperor, I'm the person in charge of the celestial sealing sect's training this time. I can't let any of my disciples die. I'll let you out now. Let's kill the experts hiding in the surroundings. I reckon they're all evil disciples of the night spirit cult. If you want to eat them, I won't stop you. Great! The Vermilion Emperor appeared in an instant, and he looked like he was sharpening his blade to attack pigs and sheep. Don't be careless. Most of these people are Calamity Realm experts. Although they're all weak, there's strength in numbers. Furthermore, they're from an evil sect, so they're naturally good at using poison and such. This king's demonic poison is his innate ability. How can humans surpass this king? It's up to you, Brother Zhu, to kill these people. This king deals with the powerful ones, and you deal with the weak ones? Squint? Green? Waves? Longing for a tent, Aochia. Gu dezhang 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 disc? To copy whoosh, the Vermilion Emperor dodged. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. This fellow's divine strength is unrivaled. The Night Spirit cult is going to be in big trouble. After releasing the seal within his body and fully displaying the might of his source, sensing everything around him and fusing with his great perfection abilities, Su Fang's expression changed. Because he sensed dozens of evil auras slowly approaching the snow valley. It seems like all of them are releasing poison gas. Good, use poison. Since I got the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle, I haven't used the 5 poison true chi properly. Boom. Unexpectedly, an earthquake-like explosion suddenly occurred in front of him. It's your brother Zhu. I killed 3 people in an instant. As promised, the corpses are mine. The Vermilion Emperor transmitted a thought from the big explosion. He was very proud. They're here. There was movement in that direction. The night spirit cult experts around the Snow Valley suddenly sped up. Master! The Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle appeared in Su Fang's palm. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a large amount of 5 poison true chi flew out of the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle. The poisonous gas in the shape of the blood goo, horned scorpion, white toad, silver snake, and spirit spider, which were in the shape of 5 poisonous creatures, seemed to come alive. Under the release of the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle, they were like an army of 5 poisonous creatures, majestically attacking the experts of the night spirit cult below from the sky above the forest. Sizzle! 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 The 5 poison true chi army covered the snow-white forest within a mile in an instant. The poisonous gas was corroding and the ground was shaking. Su Fang, who was holding the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle, displayed his great perfection ability. With a cold smile, he fled into the forest with a whoosh. Passing through the dark clouds and poisonous gas, the poisonous gas couldn't do anything to Su Fang at all. When he approached the ground, he found a large number of 5 poison gas monsters besieging the 5 black-robed men. The 5 of them activated their flying swords and released poisonous gas, fighting the army of 5 poisonous creatures. Su Fang could be said to have truly witnessed the power of the 5 poison true chi. Although the blood goo, horned scorpion, white toad, silver snake, and spirit spider were in the form of poisonous gas, they were formed by a special power. Although they were shattered by the flying swords of the 5 experts, they quickly healed. This was all thanks to the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle. It was the controller of the entire 5 poison army. The 5 experts used all their strength but were still unable to shatter the 5 poison true chi. Although they were catastrophe realm experts, the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle was far stronger than them. In addition to the uniqueness of the 5 poison true chi, no matter how powerful these night spirit cult experts were, they couldn't completely suppress the 5 poison true chi. If they couldn't suppress the 5 poison true chi, they would eventually be exhausted and killed by the poison. Rakshasa, you're in charge of the poisonous gas and entangle all the night spirit cult experts. Don't kill them, just entangle them. The Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle flew out of Su Fang's hand. Chi, who knew? A black shadow suddenly attacked from behind in a strange manner. Pa pa pa. The Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle reacted in time and spat out a huge poisonous scorpion to block Su Fang's back. The black shadow hit the poisonous scorpion and shattered it. When it passed through the poisonous gas, not a trace of Su Fang could be seen. Su Fang gradually appeared in the poisonous gas on the left side, allowing the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle to continue to leave. He stared at the black-clothed person. It turned out to be an old man. You ambushed me. It was the Vice-Altar Lord of the Night Spirit Cult. The old man's face was gloomy and bloodless, like that of a dead man. I didn't expect you and a big goblin to be able to stop my Night Spirit Cult. Humans like you are the favorite of my Night Spirit Cult. My Night Spirit Cult loves to collect, suppress, and take out your heart. We'll make you die of pain. What an evil aura. This person is a living dead. He's so powerful to be able to shatter the poisonous gas released by the Rakshasa Jade Bearer bottle in one move. Su Fang secretly stared at the old man, edgeless suddenly appearing in his hand. Whoosh, the old man also attacked in a strange manner. He opened his hand, and a large amount of evil true qi transformed into sword qi. It had completely reached the peak of the catastrophe realm. Furthermore, Su Fang felt that it was much stronger than Prince Shui's. Bang! Edgeless attacked with boundless divine power, shattering the sword qi that was pressing down. Then, Edgeless stabbed at the old man's chest like a shooting star. Puff! The old man's aura shook Edgeless away, and he was also sent flying several meters away by the sword's divine power. I didn't expect a first-stage Yang Soul cultivator like you to be able to control a king-grade spirit treasure with such ease. At first, I didn't understand why there wasn't a single catastrophe realm expert among the celestial sealing sect's disciples. So it was because of a disciple like you who was hiding your strength. Whoosh! Whoosh! Executing the ruler's celestial steps, Su Fang's full-powered burst of power covered a distance of a few dozen feet. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of the old man. The edgeless sword slashed out streaks of divine power. Divine power. So what if he was a peak catastrophe realm expert? Even if he didn't die, he would still be heavily injured. This was the power of a king-grade Dharma artifact. The divine power slashed out with countless attacks, forcing the old man to retreat. The old man's movement techniques were shocking, and his cultivation far surpassed Su Fang's. Even with Su Fang's king-grade Dharma artifact and speed, he couldn't harm the old man at all. The old man was still at ease. In less than half an incense stick's worth of time, Su Fang had unleashed over 100 attacks, but not a single one was able to touch the old man's clothes. Ha ha! At this moment, a familiar demonic qi laughed and attacked from behind. Emperor Zhu He was wearing white robes and had a big belly. He carried the corpse of a night spirit sect expert and charged to the back of the old man. I sensed an expert. Looks like it's you, you old undying human. Su Fang made up his mind. Emperor Zhu, you've come at the right time. Let's work together to deal with this person. He should still have some powerful moves he hasn't used yet. Emperor Zhu glanced at the corpse and his head suddenly turned into a pig's head. He opened his mouth and swallowed the corpse into his stomach. He touched his mouth and returned to his human form. This king has killed the others. There are only a dozen people left. Let's get rid of this old man first. Anyway, with the poisonous gas you control around, those people won't be able to destroy the immortal sealing sect's formation. Vice Altar Lord. A few night spirit sect experts who had been severely injured by the 5 poison true qi flew over and blocked in front of the old man. Before Su Fang could say anything, the Vermilion Emperor suddenly quickened his pace. His eyes sparkled. Little beauty. A little beauty that's as beautiful as a fairy. It turned out that one of them was a girl in white. She held her sword and shouted, "You pervert!" What pervert? I didn't expect you to be a perverted pig. He thought Emperor Zhu was going to attack, but he actually ran away after seeing a beauty. Su Fang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He wanted to stab him in the stomach. I'm not a pervert. Little beauty, call me big brother. Emperor Zhu stopped about 10 meters away from the girl in white, and smiled while rubbing his bald head. Pervert, scram. The girl in white shouted angrily. Why are you following the Night Spirit sect? What can they show you? They're all monsters that are neither dead nor alive. If you call me Big Brother Zhu has resources, pills, magic treasures. Big Brother Zhu has looks and money. The Zhu Emperor suddenly took a step forward with his right foot and used his hand to stroke the whip-like white hair on his head. Where can you find such a handsome brother like me? Brother will give you everything. Who knows, I might even give my body to you. Ayo. Apart from the old man, the girl in white and the surrounding experts all felt their stomachs churn. More importantly, even Su Fang felt like something had fallen from his body. He felt light and cold. The woman in white regained her composure and stepped forward with a swift and fierce footwork. She grabbed a high-grade flying sword and thrust it forward. "You pervert, eat my sword!" Bang! When her sword light arrived in front of the Vermilion Emperor, it was caught between two fingers. He stroked his hair once more. "Little sister, think about it. Call me Big Brother. If anyone dares to kill you, I'll twist their head off." The girl in white slapped out a large amount of poison gas with her left hand. Squeak! But this poison gas was blocked by Emperor Zhu's body's instinctive defenses. Not only that, but this energy also contained Emperor Zhu's demon poison. The demon poison counterattacked and engulfed the girl in white. She let out a miserable scream. Kill! Two experts charged at Emperor Zhu. Sword chi and poison gas fused together to form a large amount of astral chi. They wanted to directly crush Emperor Zhu to death. "Oh, my little sister!" Emperor Zhu suddenly saw that the girl in white was trapped by the demon poison. He immediately stretched out his hand, but unfortunately, he was too slow. She was crushed to a pulp by his companion's astral chi. Chapter 482. The young girl had turned into minced meat on the ground. Pa-Pad Chi aura pressed down on the Vermilion Emperor, causing him to stagger under the Chi aura. The experts were shocked. "This big goblin is very powerful. He was not injured at all by our attacks. You killed this king's little sister. Today I will bury all of you." At the edge of the Chi aura, the Vermilion Emperor was not affected by the Chi aura. He looked around. He had a pained expression. "You guys kill the big goblin. I will kill this brat." The old man gave the order. The few of them pounced on the Vermilion Emperor. The Vice-Altar Master stared at Su Fong. His eyes did not have any color, but a bright light suddenly burst out from them. It seemed like his gaze had changed, but there was no obvious attack. But for Su Fong it was a different scene. Under the gaze of the young infant, a fierce young infant's aura pressed down on him. The surroundings seemed to be covered by dark clouds in an instant. Demonic disintegration seal. It turned out that the old man had directly used his young infant's attack. He wanted to use the powerful young infant's aura to kill Su Fong easily. He thought that Su Fong's young infant would be weak since he was only at the first stage, and would not be able to withstand the attack of the divine might thunder. Therefore, the young nascent soul's godly aura was now surging toward them. Even if Su Fong used the ruler's divine steps and fire cloud steps, he would not be able to escape the young infant's aura. In terms of speed, the young infant's aura was definitely above the physical body. The aura came. Defend. Under the activation of the demonic disintegration seal, a large number of young infants were separated from the divine aperture. Each young infant performed a seal and turned into a chain of seals that protected the divine aperture. Su Fong's young infant was inside the divine aperture. With a shout, countless figures flew out from the dark world around the divine aperture. The dark shadows filled the sky and turned into several layers of divine might defense. Whoosh 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 in front of him was the young infant's aura. It was like a storm, like a wave, with some haze and some golden xianguang. This was not the first time Su Fong had fought against a powerful young soul. Back on the Seven Stars Demon Island, he had encountered a powerful young soul like the Seven Stars Child, but he had still managed to kill his way out. Whoosh! In an instant, it was as if the world was about to be destroyed. To Su Fong's senses, the other party's young nascent soul was indeed powerful. Although it was not as powerful as Seven Star Child's young nascent soul, it was still more powerful than the young nascent souls of any of the Great Calamity Realm's young nascent souls. Within the scroll, the young nascent soul defense formed by the Heaven Devil unsealing seal was trembling. Even more of the figures within the defense were losing their luster, and it felt as if their minds were on the verge of collapse. A human. A buzz buzz. When there was no battle, the attacks were like a tsunami. But the young infant's divine might made everything in the world in his mind shake. In this state, Su Fang's young infant's defense was destroyed layer by layer. The young infant in the divine aperture was Su Fang's main essence soul. Because the outer young infant's defense was destroyed, the main essence soul's aura and luster were also weakened. It's time. True demon blood plate. Gap. Su Fang once again saw the gap between him and a catastrophe realm cultivator. With his current young infant, he would have turned into dust if it weren't for the heavenly demon disintegration seal. Whoosh. The layers of young infant's defense were shattered. The essence soul's explosion was really terrifying. A wisp of demonic light rose from Su Fang's body. The light came to his mind and suddenly hovered above the divine aperture, turning into a huge black wheel with endless demonic burning black flames. Sizzle. When the black flames came into contact with the Elder's primordial spirit's divine might, they instantly ignited the divine might and burned it into ashes. Poof. In the distance, the vice-altar master of the night spirit cult was 100 meters away from Su Fang. He was forced to take a few steps back. His eyes were shaking and his face was pale. He pressed his temples. True demon blood plate, a supreme dharma treasure of the demonic path. Where did you get it? Sizzle. Sizzle. Deep in Su Fang's mind, the true demon blood plate burned the last bit of essence soul that the old man had used. If I didn't have such means, I wouldn't be facing a peerless expert like you alone. He resolved the crisis. Fortunately, he wasn't the 7-star child. If it was the 7-star child, the true demon blood plate wouldn't have been able to resist. Su Fang was overjoyed. The old man was injured and his young infant was severely injured. He can't attack me with his essence soul anymore. Imperial decree. The imposing figure suddenly attacked Su Fang. The old man launched a surprise attack. Swish. A fierce palm came in front of the figure. It seemed to be 100 meters away, but it suddenly arrived in front of him. This was the speed of a catastrophe realm cultivator. Edgeless heavy sword. Su Fang didn't hold back. The sword's edge appeared in his palm and stabbed at the giant palm. Boom. The giant palm instantly shattered under the edgeless sword's edge. Pop, pop. Palm Prince attacked from all directions. He used the ruler's divine steps in time and attacked step by step. The Palm Prince were everywhere and as fast as lightning. Su Fang could only dodge and attack some of the Palm Prince with the edgeless sword. His life was in danger at any second. The old man was furious. I'm going to tear you apart. Wings of fire cloud. The attack was indeed terrifying and full of killing intent. Even when facing Prince Shui, Su Fang's heart didn't stop beating like this. Su Fang could only dodge and attack the most fatal attack. Buzz. Suddenly, Su Fang, who was fighting with the old man, used his perfected ability and heard some movements around him. After hearing it, he was quite surprised and immediately sent a voice transmission. Vermilion Emperor, hide. It should be a righteous path expert. A moment later, Vermilion Emperor completely disappeared. At the same time, Su Fang also put away the Rakshasa jade bottle. Taking advantage of the 5 poisons true chi blocking the experts that had not been killed by Vermilion Emperor, Su Fang began to escape towards the formation. Oh, you want those immortal sealing gate disciples to help you? It's too late. The old man saw that the big goblin had disappeared and the poison gas was also disappearing. He was quite puzzled. Looking at the formation not far behind him, he seemed to have thought of what Su Fang wanted to do. It's Senior Brother Fang. He's back. Previously, it was all poison gas and we couldn't see the situation clearly. Now, Senior Brother Fang is back, but he's being held back by a catastrophe realm expert. Prepare to activate the formation. Most of the poison gas disappeared. A few 100 meters away from the formation, over 100 disciples were finally able to see the scene in front of them. Before they could take another look, they saw Su Fong being killed by the old man step by step as he approached the formation. Seeing this scene, everyone knew the old man's strength. Who wouldn't be shocked? But seeing Su Fong fighting the old man alone and not letting the old man gain an absolute advantage, they all relaxed and hurriedly prepared the formation runes. What the hell are you doing? If you don't let this king help you, be careful of being killed by that old man. Or you can use the Xian Wang Six Paths Pagoda. Vermilion Emperor, who was hiding in the dark, transmitted his thoughts. Whoosh, whoosh. The 3 injured Night Spirit Cult evil cult members also rushed over from the rear and surrounded Su Fong. Junior brother Fong, get out of the way. A thought was transmitted into Su Fong's mind without any warning. This is... Su Fong once again used the Fire Cloud Wings, the ruler's divine steps, and the edgeless sword. The heavy sword slashed horizontally, creating a powerful explosion. Taking advantage of the explosion, he jumped back. Chi! A blue cloud almost brushed past Su Fong, who was dodging and retreating. Among the green clouds, a 5-finger profound blade shot out and clawed fiercely at the palm print that was exploding and pushing forward. All the palm prints exploded and shattered with a crackling sound. Blue Cloud Sect. On the other side, the old man was pushed back and was supported by the 3 experts who rushed over. It's my Blue Cloud Sect. I didn't expect your Night Spirit cult to become even more aggressive this time. You openly killed Righteous Path disciples in the forbidden snowy forest. You even dare to kill disciples of my Blue Cloud Sect. One move. It shattered the old man's attack. His strength and speed both surpassed Su Fong and was at the same level as the old man. Senior Brother Li. Su Fong also used the ruler's divine steps and drew an arc in the air, arriving at the side of the blue cloud that had disappeared. Li Qianlong's clear appearance appeared in the blue cloud. As a sovereign disciple, his strength was truly unfathomable. Let's go. The old man seemed to be very wary of the Blue Cloud Sect and fled with his 3 subordinates. Blue Cloud Formation. At the same time, more than 20 green-robed men appeared above the vast forest that had been mostly corroded by the poisonous gas in the snowy plains behind the 4 of them. All of them were Tribulation Realm experts of the Blue Cloud Sect. Sky Formation. Evil Vanquisher. Evil Vanquisher Sword Formation. More than 20 disciples opened their mouths and spat out azure flying swords. Furthermore, it wasn't just one, but a large number of azure flying swords. Buzz, buzz. The sky was filled with green flying swords, trapping the 4 Night Spirit Sect experts in midair with an earth-shattering momentum. Transform. The Blue Cloud Sect experts formed the same hand seal. Hundreds of green flying swords whizzed through the air in an oval shape, creating a terrifying sword chi storm that could destroy everything in its path. Kill. The Vice Altar Lord and his 3 subordinates released poisonous gas. Only the poisonous gas attacked the sword formation, but it was completely destroyed by the sword formation. The poisonous gas couldn't even pass through the sword formation to attack the Blue Cloud Sect disciples. The sword formation's power continued to surround them. Clang, clang, clang. The 4 of them also released their Dharma treasures and attacked the sword formation. However, the flying swords were completely suppressed by the sword chi of the sword formation. The sword formation wasn't an ordinary formation. It felt like hundreds of flying swords were used to attack the formation directly. Ordinary formations were formed by combining rune talismans with the formation eye, which was protected by a barrier. However, the evil punishment sword formation from the Blue Cloud Sect was so different. Chi. The flying swords were completely suppressed, and the air currents formed by the sword chi killed the 3 Night Spirit cult expert. Li Qianlong suddenly nodded at Su Fong. The main show is here. Junior brother Fong, let's go see the strength of the Night Spirit cult's altar lord. Oh! It seemed that Li Qianlong had interacted with the Night Spirit cult several times. He immediately flew toward the sword formation with him curiously. Supreme Night Spirit, Golden Body. The evil punishment sword formation was indeed terrifying. It could break through anything and even suppress high-grade flying sword. The old man was the only one left. He wasn't afraid and formed a hand seal in front of his chest. Chi. His body trembled a few times and blood gushed out from his chest. Then, his body was completely covered in evil flames and his flesh began to burn. It was almost no longer an ordinary human body. There was a bloody heart beating in front of his chest. Su Fang's hair stood on end. What the hell? Li Qianlong's expression hardened. I've also heard that the night spirit cult's true experts are just walking corpses. They're controlled by god descent and some strange forbidden sacrificial art. As for that heart, it should be an evil item refined by killing quite a few cultivators. That old man was controlled by that heart. Don't underestimate that heart. Previously, there were righteous experts who were killed by that heart's evil power. Chapter 483. A heart? Could it be as powerful as Li Qianlong said? Su Fang was very doubtful, but through his perfected ability and the power of the origin, he found that the heart was indeed incomparably evil. It had the 5 poison true qi and even the blood of the true demons. It was indescribable. It seemed that the aura of the heart couldn't even compare to the blood of the true demons. The evil vanquishing formation is extremely powerful. Every flying sword is a dharma treasure used by cultivators, and also a flying sword specially made for formations. This is a formation passed down from the ancient times of the Blue Cloud sect. It's simple and easy to use, but it also contains many profound mysteries. Li Qianlong seemed to be worried that the evil power would hurt Su Fang, so he didn't continue to bring Su Fang closer. Swish. Swish. The evil vanquishing formation changed its attack again. Because the heart had absorbed the Night Spirit sect's deputy altar lord, his body turned into an evil blood shadow. The blood shadow merged with the heart, and a terrifying evil blood mist burst out. Hundreds of flying swords suddenly formed an oval shape. Boom! Then, the oval formation burst out with a sword light that quickly and fiercely hit the blood shadow. The blood shadow was indeed powerful. It was hit by so many flying swords, but it didn't shatter. After trembling a few times, the blood mist of the blood shadow shook away a lot of the oppressive sword qi. The blood patterns released by the heart expanded the blood mist into a huge blood-colored mushroom. One-word sword qi. Which of the Blue Cloud sect's experts wasn't a catastrophe realm powerhouse? Their cultivation and strength were inferior to Li Qianlong's, but they were still supremacies in the cultivation world. The sword formation's attack didn't kill the blood shadow in the heart. It controlled the sword formation again, and the oval shape suddenly turned into a huge silver sword. Swish. 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 The huge sword let out a hum, and like a bolt of lightning, it fiercely hit the blood shadow in the heart again. This attack had an obvious effect. A lot of the blood mist was scattered and disappeared, but it didn't hurt the blood shadow. Sword wings across the sky. Once again, the sword formation changed its form. It suddenly shrank and turned into a pair of silver wings. After the wings moved, they were like countless feathers, peeling off from the sword wings one after another and attacking the heart of the dodging blood shadow. Witnessing the power of the evil vanquishing sword formation with his own eyes, Su Fang couldn't help but pound his fist. This sword formation is powerful, too powerful. However, Li Qianlong did not smile because of this. Lang Lang said, "There are countless formations in the world. Most of them are formed by restrictions and seals. The evil punishing sword formation is formed by specially refined formation flying swords. Its attack is like a cultivator directly activating a magic treasure. Its defense is also the same. Therefore, this sword formation is a formation that can be used in all kinds of environments." That's right. In reality, This kind of sword formation was no stranger to Su Fang and all cultivators. Often, when encountering a strong enemy, a few cultivators would join forces and use magic treasures to deal with the enemy. In reality, it was just like the evil extermination sword formation, where magic treasures were used together. However, the flying swords of the evil punishment sword formation were all made for formations. Therefore, their power, speed, and power were all superior to many formations. Boom! A large number of flying swords transformed into a waterfall and surrounded the heart-blood shadow. Who would have thought that the heart would shoot out streaks of blood veins, shaking off the flying swords and leaving behind the bloody figure? The heart seemed to have grown hands, and under the protection of the blood veins, it flashed and escaped into the sky. Pung! No heart. The other flying swords hit the blood shadow, and the blood shadow was instantly turned into dust. We can't let the altar master of the Night Spirit sect escape. If we catch it, we might be able to find out where the real sect of the Night Spirit sect is. Brother Fang, we'll part ways here for now. The sect put me in charge of the Night Spirit sect in the Forbidden Snow Forest and cooperated with the Snow Wind Continent. I can't leave for the time being. You must be very careful. Not only is there the Night Spirit sect in the Forbidden Snow Forest, there are also many experts from other small worlds and giant demons. They can kill people and rob here. They can do anything. In order to kill the evil heart. After Li Qianquan said goodbye, he led more than 20 Blue Cloud sect experts and fled in the direction of the heart. I'm afraid that those 20 or so Blue Cloud sect disciples specialize in the evil punishment sword formation. Watching the group of people leave, Su Fang also saw something. Senior brother is back. The formation behind suddenly disappeared. More than 100 disciples excitedly welcomed Su Fang. Obviously, Su Fang had saved them this time. If Su Fang hadn't blocked the Night Spirit sect, so what if they had the formation? How long could these immortal, undying, and young-souled disciples last under the siege of the Calamity Realm giants of the Night Spirit sect? After several adventures, most of these disciples seemed to have recognized Su Fang as a new Supreme Dao disciple. The Pigma beast Zhu Huang also quietly returned to the Xian Huang Six Paths Pagoda. Under Su Fang's lead, the disciples continued to go deeper into the forest. Along the way, they encountered some big goblin, which Su Fang let the disciples kill. They also encountered some spirit treasures. Along the way, Su Fang didn't personally attack again. According to those cultivators, the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples went deep into the snowfield to train. There's still some distance before they step into the central area of the Forbidden Snow Forest. I think they'll attack the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples in the frozen space inside the Forbidden Snow Forest. In the wind and rain, 2 middle-aged men in gray robes quickly passed through the forest. About 2 hours later, in front of the forest that was almost covered by the glacier, the two suddenly stop. There are more than 100 people training in the icy space ahead. They must be the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples. The number and aura are similar to what the Crown Prince said. We finally caught up. Brother, you and I traveled thousands of miles from the Xinyuan planet to kill for the Crown Prince. Next time, the Crown Prince should also go to the Xinyuan Empire to express his cooperation with the Prince. The Xinyuan Empire is the only overlord in the small world that controls the huge Xinyuan planet. The Patriarch of the Xinyuan Empire is also the Realm Master of the Xinyuan planet. In this small world, the Xinyuan Empire is countless times stronger than the Celestial Sealing Sect. The Crown Prince is our friend, so he should see this clearly. It's good to be the leader of the Celestial Sealing Sect, but if he works for the Xinyuan Empire, with the Crown Prince's potential, he will be favored by the Realm Master in the future. The Crown Prince is a smart person. If you and I can see it, how can he not see it? You and I will follow from a distance. If the Crown Prince finds it troublesome, he must have some tricks up his sleeve. You and I have to be careful. Since we're here, we have to do this for the Crown Prince. Don't let him underestimate the experts of the Xinyuan Empire. The gray-robed man spoke one after another, but did not take half a step closer to the icy forest. Inside the icy plains, more than 100 disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect were scattered. 7 or 8 people formed small teams, and they were training in different areas. Although it was frozen, there were still some plants that were full of vitality. Among them, there were some spiritual herbs and medicinal herbs that were very precious. Some of the disciples were scared out of their wits. It turned out that they would occasionally encounter icicles in the icy plains. They looked like icicles, but when they got close, they would discover that there were corpses inside. Some were covered in wounds, and some were frozen to death. Some of the frozen corpses even grew flowers of immortality, which were obtained by the disciples. A few days later, the teams gathered and began to move out. Not long after, a world of cold air covered in snow appeared in front of them. The central region of the forbidden snow forest. Coming here meant that they would encounter danger at all times. Su Fang told the Yang Soul disciples to protect them before they began to fly into the snowstorm. Rustle. The disciples stepped on their flying swords and flew into the snowstorm. However, they were blown away by the strong wind. Fortunately, the immortal and young nascent disciples acted in time to protect them. They cast seals to protect the immortal and undying disciples. Only then were they able to continue into the depth. The snowstorm was indeed terrifying. The cold air was countless times stronger than the outside world. There were also ice trees and ice blocks. If they were hit, even the young soul disciples would die in the snowstorm. After traveling for a few kilometers, they suddenly saw some ravines at the bottom of the snowstorm. It should be caused by the snowstorm. Everyone, be careful when you enter the ravine below. The snowstorm is very dangerous. Su Fang changed his mind and told the disciples to fly down. After 2 hours, they finally got rid of the storm. When they arrived at the ravine, they found that it was tens of thousands of meters deep. And as Su Fang had expected, it was indeed caused by the power of the snowstorm. There were many traces of wind erosion. After entering the ravine, the storm clearly weakened, but there were still storms swirling within. After trekking for a while, they passed through a large number of ravines on foot. Gradually, they found that the snowstorm above them was even stronger. The ravine also extended deeper and deeper. Gradually, there were forests and mountain ranges within the ravine. Along the way, they encountered quite a few cultivators. After checking the map, they smoothly entered the inner world of the forbidden snow forest. We can attack now. They're resting in the ravine. You and I will work together to assassinate Fang Yu. In his current state, he won't be able to dodge our assassination. Alright. Hide your identities and wear masks. Although no one will be able to recognize you and me as people from the Xinyuan Empire, we have to make sure we don't leave behind any trouble for the Crown Prince. Alright. 2 gray-robed people walked over from the storm above. They immediately put on masks and hid their auras. Following the falling snow, they slowly approached a small ravine in front of them. 10,000 meters, 1,000 meters, several hundred meters, there's the sound of 2 people inhaling. There's also the aura of a Yuan spirit. The formation in the ravine was covered by some snowflakes. Within the formation, Su Fang was sitting cross-legged and cultivating. The energy of his 3 young meridians had completely recovered. Apart from some of his lifespan that had yet to recover, he had already returned to his peak state. In other words, he had only truly recovered from his injuries after the battle with Prince Shui. With the combination of his great circle paragons and his origin power, Su Fang suddenly sensed 2 weak auras approaching from the front. They were not slow either. They were almost running. They would probably reach the formation in a dozen breaths. So strange. They must have come with ill intentions. They should be very strong opponents in the catastrophe realm. Could it be the Night Spirit sect? No, there's no evil aura. Let's see what you want. All of a sudden, Su Fang said something to the disciples guarding the formation and flew out of the formation. Yes. You and me. No way. Our strength and cultivation are far superior to that kid. No matter how strong he is or how much of a genius he can't sense the auras of experts like us. Could it be that he's just about to leave the formation? The two gray-robed people controlled the cold air and snowflake. They stopped for a moment in the storm before changing directions and flying towards the ravine behind the formation. They really did come for me. They left the ravine below. Just as they arrived at the ice ridge behind the ravine, Su Fang sensed the two auras. They immediately changed directions and flew towards him. Now he was sure that the two experts had come for him. If they don't come with good intentions, they're most likely enemies. Then why should I be polite to you? 8 Origins Soul Elephant Formation. They flew a few kilometers towards the ravine behind them. When they arrived at the snowy plains, they immediately released the Fire Crystal Golem and Fire God Elephant and hid the formation around the forest. They sat down cross-legged and pretended to cultivate. Chapter 484. Vermilion Emperor, are you ready? Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged, had actually sent the wild boar beast to the back of the forest to hide with the formation. Deep in the back, the Vermilion Emperor coldly replied, "Don't worry. How do you want to fight? If this king directly kills the two of them, then this king can use the demon god's wrath and turn them into mincemeat with one whip." The demon god's wrath is a Tao item, and the forbidden snow forest is the #1 natural barrier of the snow-wind continent. There must be many experts there. If you use the demon god's wrath, wouldn't it attract those experts? Then I'll use my fist. However, I'll be slower. Those two aren't weak at all. I reckon that they're both at the peak of the Calamity Realm. If I use my magical treasures, it'll take me quite a bit of effort to kill them. It'll be more likely if I use my true body. There's no need to use your true body. Your true body is similar to a Tao item. Just use your demonic poison and the 8 Origins Soul Elephant Formation to trap them. Then you and I can use our attack. It won't be hard to deal with them. Furthermore, I also have the 5 Poisons True Qi. My poison gas can shackle them. 5 Poisons True Qi. This king wanted to say that you actually have the power of the 5 Poisons Divine Sect. That 5 Poisons Divine Sect is a major power among the humans. You also know about the 5 Poisons Divine Sect? How could this king not know? This king has always been cultivating in the nearby small world. He has only been in the Zhuotian realm for a few thousand years. In addition, this king has lived for tens of thousands of years. The 5 Poisons True Qi is incomparably powerful. Of course, it can't compare to your demonic poison. Luckily, I have the Rakshasa Jade Bottle. Vermilion Emperor, they are coming. Get ready. At this point, Su Fang was still sitting cross-legged. It looked like he was cultivating. But in reality, he had already sensed the two experts gradually arriving in the air 500 meters away. They were slowly approaching in the cold air. Holding one's breath. Once the killing intent erupted, it would be a life and death crisis. Flesh Fetus Divine Armor. In order to lure the two into the formation, he had to resist their assassination. As long as they came within 10 meters of him, he could activate the 8 Origins Soul Elephant Formation. 10 meters. 4 Peak Calamity Realm experts, this distance in front of them was right in front of them. Once they released their power, their aura could crush Su Fang. Close. Heaven Ruler Divine Steps and Wings of Fire Cloud are in preparation. Qi. After a few breaths, suddenly, 2 streaks of cold qi transformed into blade lights. Pushed by 2 figures, they instantly arrived in front of Su Fang from 100 meters away. The thunder of thunder came. He wanted to kill Su Fang in one move. Peng. Su Fang's sudden explosive momentum with the flesh fetus divine armor protecting his body. He used the heaven-conquering divine steps, and a pair of flaming cloud wings appeared on his back, forming a huge defensive layer. Boom! Even if there was a defense, he was unable to withstand the attacks of the two experts. The two blade lights shattered the aura in front of Su Fang. As he had expected, the shattered aura turned into an endless aura and swallowed him up in an instant. I didn't expect this brat to be able to sense it. Not simple. So what? You can only wait for death. The gray-clothed masked giant released his domineering aura in the broken aura field and pounced on Su Fang, who was covered by the aura field. Buzz. Suddenly, a layer of Xian Guang surrounded them from all directions. Using the forest as a cover, it suddenly formed layers of formations. He's actually setting up a formation. So what if he has a formation? How can he trap experts like you and me? Unless he's also at our level of cultivation, we have to destroy the formation now. The two of them flashed past the aura field, but they didn't see Su Fang at all. The two of them were startled. Where is he? I'm above, protected by the formation. A sharp voice could be heard coming from above. Sure enough, Su Fang stepped on the Xian Guang formation. His flesh fetus divine armor was almost shattered. His face was pale and his breathing was rapid. Obviously, he was injured by the aura of the two of them. Their aura had such terrifying power. Haha, we didn't kill you in one move, but we were seriously injured. One of the masked men laughed embarrassedly. Su Fang was as calm as a boulder. The two of you are giants. At least in front of a young soul cultivator like me, you're giants that can't be shaken. Can you tell me why you want to kill me? At least let me know why I'm dying. The other masked man said coldly, there's no harm in telling you. In any case, you'll be a dead man soon. It's not that we want to kill you, but that someone told us to kill you. That's the celestial bestowment sect's disciple, Prince Shui. Prince Shui. So it's him. I thought that as a celestial bestowment sect's disciple, he was someone with some magnanimity. I didn't expect him to be so vengeful. The two of you are also laughable. As giants, you're not inferior to Prince Shui in any aspect. You're willing to sell your lives for him. We're experts from the Xinyuan Empire. We met Prince Shui on the Divine Origin planet and are friends. If he has a problem, then a friend has a problem. We're just helping a friend. I heard that the Divine Origin planet is still a certain distance away from the Zhuotian realm. You guys are really willing to spend so much effort to come so far to kill a young soul cultivator like me. You've also heard of the Divine Origin planet. It really surprised us. I won't waste time with you. Since you know about the Divine Origin planet, then you should know about the Xinyuan Empire. The two's killing intent surged. They suddenly leaped left and right, forming an encirclement. 8 elements space pressure. It came too quickly. Su Fang immediately activated the 8 elements soul image formation. A large number of Xian Guang formations rose from the surroundings and flickered. The two experts also made their move at this time. To them, the Xian Guang formation was just a Yang Soul Cultivator's formation. It couldn't even trap a first-layer Calamity Cultivator, let alone giants like them. It couldn't be stopped. Who would have thought that the Xian Guang formation would suddenly transform into giant figures of fire crystal golems? These giant figures directly turned into attacks, and their speed was indescribable. They crashed into the two giants again and again. When they collided, the two experts were unable to advance. Naturally, they couldn't attack Su Fang. This formation is not ordinary. The two of them were stunned. They released their attacks, shattering the attacks of the fire crystal golems. Even so, the two of them were unable to continue attacking Su Fang after shattering the fire crystal golems. They were completely trapped by the 8 elements soul image formation. Now it's my turn to attack. Su Fang suddenly smiled. He raised the Rakshasa jade vase in his hand. 5 poisons true qi. After the order was issued, the Rakshasa jade vase became 1 zhang tall. A large number of monsters poured out from the vase. Blood goo, horned scorpion, white toad, silver snake, and spirit spider. Each one was more terrifying than the last. The 5 poisons true qi army emerged and completely surrounded the 2 experts in the center of the formation. Because it was a formation, the 5 poisons true qi's speed and offensive power were higher than before. This is the 5 poisons true qi of the 5 poisons divine sect. Could it be that the remnants of the 5 poisons true qi came to the Zhuotian world to secretly establish a force? As expected of people from the Xinyuan Empire, the 2 magnates were knowledgeable. With just a glance, they recognized the blood goo, horned scorpion, white toad, silver snake, and spirit spider as the 5 poisons Jinqi from the 5 poisons sect. Qi. The 2 giants' strength and ability were extraordinary. They displayed astonishing speed and movement technique. One of them used red lightning and turned it into a lightning blade, killing the 5 poisons true qi army in a large area. The other person activated countless sword lights, forming a huge sword qi giant. It spat out sword lights and crushed the 5 poisons true qi army. As expected of giants, after passing the 9 revolutions life seizing life from heaven and earth, they fought for endless immortality for themselves. After passing the vast 9 revolutions great tribulation, they finally became giants at the peak of the catastrophe realm. Even Prince Shui had not reached their realm. They were still trapped in the 8 elements soul image formation. They did not suffer many shackles when they used their divine abilities. This point also proved their strength. However, they underestimated Su Fang, underestimated the 8 elements soul image formation, and even underestimated the 5 poisons true qi. They thought that Su Fang was only using the 5 poisons true qi. They did not expect that Su Fang also had a royal grade artifact that could endlessly release the 5 poisons true qi. Even more 5 poisons true qi surged out, majestically forming an army of blood insects, horned scorpions, white toads, silver snakes, and spirit spiders. They did not have any consciousness, only evil and savage killing intent. They continuously attacked wave after wave. Dragging it out like this is not a solution. Directly attack that brat. I'll defend and block the poison. You attack. The 2 masked men had a way to deal with it. One person defended and blocked the poison, while the other attacked. The giant who used the sword light had the sword qi giant protect the 2 of them, pushing them forward and destroying the surrounding illusory fire crystal golems. The other person gathered power. After a while, he killed his way out. When he saw Su Fang controlling the Rakshasa jade bottle, he immediately flicked his finger. Qi. A scarlet bolt of lightning, like a scarlet dragon, shattered the Xian Guang in front of them. It tyrannically and fiercely attacked Su Fang. Qi. A giant elephant. It was the fire god elephant. It suddenly appeared from the Xian Guang in midair. It jumped up high and swung its trunk, hitting the scarlet bolt of lightning and causing it to disappear. Fire spirit treasure. The giant who controlled lightning was surprised to see the fire god elephant. He then summoned a pearl that released lightning. Damn, it's a high-grade lightning magic treasure. It's almost the ultimate lightning magic treasure. Lightning, the most tyrannical power. In order to pursue tyrannical power, humans constantly created lightning magic treasures in the world. Lightning magic treasures were peerless treasures that were born from this. Qi. Watch how I shatter your formation. The giant who controlled lightning held the pearl in his mouth. He put his hands together and pointed his 10 fingers. Qi. 10 tyrannical bolts of lightning, like sword qi, pierced towards the formation. The 5 poisons true qi, the illusory attacks of the fire crystal golems, and the Xian Guang were all unable to resist the formation. They were defeated by the 10 bolts of lightning and turned into dust. edgeless heavy sword. In midair, Su Fang blocked the 10 bolts of lightning. He activated the edgeless sword and slashed at the 10 bolts of lightning. ZZZ King-grade magic treasure resisted the power of a peak high-grade magic treasure and the magic power of a catastrophe realm powerhouse. The edgeless sword indeed blocked the 10 bolts of lightning. However, the power of the 10 bolts of lightning also spread out, causing Su Fang to lose his balance. ZZZ. The expert activated another 10 bolts of lightning and attacked the formation again. If it was hit, the 8 origin divine elephant formation would most likely be broken. If there was no formation to trap the 2 powerhouses, Su Fang would completely lose his advantage. This king is coming. Suddenly, a demonic aura came from the formation. It was the Vermilion Emperor. The front half of his body was on the ground. He opened his mouth to reveal a huge, evil pig head. He spat out a huge demonic pig shadow, which bit the 10 bolts of lightning. ZZZ. Su Fang had never seen the true strength of the vermilion pig. He finally saw it now. It actually bit the 10 bolts of lightning, causing them to shatter in midair. Its big belly strangely contracted again, and it actually spat out a wave of demonic poison, which surged towards the 2 powerhouses. 5 poisons true chi. Su Fang, who was holding the edgeless sword, did not have time to wipe off his blood or take care of his injuries. He activated the Rakshasa Jade Bottle, and even more 5 poisons true chi combined with the formation, directly oppressing the 2 powerhouses. Under the 2 waves of highly toxic poison, the defense and offense of the 2 powerhouses immediately collapsed. The 2 powerhouses were also entangled by the demonic poison, causing them to constantly scream. Chapter 485. Hee, this king's demonic poison tastes pretty good, doesn't it? There's no antidote for this king's innate poison. No matter what antidote you eat, it'll be useless. Everything had its counter. The 2 assassins possessed boundless strength. Even the Vermilion Emperor, an ancient vicious beast, would find it difficult to subdue them. But now, the 5 poison true chi, the demonic poison, and the formation's shackles caused the 2 giants to be corroded by the poison. The Vermilion Emperor couldn't stop laughing. This king hasn't even used his wrath of the fiend god, but you've already fallen. He stood up and withdrew his monstrous aura. In a flash, he arrived beside Su Fang. A large amount of 5 poison true chi and the demonic poison had already trapped the 2 giants. They didn't know what the poison tasted like, but they could only release a defensive barrier. ZZZ. One of them actually released a lightning attribute bead on his own. The lightning blade released the 2 poisonous gases to create an opening. He abandoned his companion and hastily fled through the opening. Devouring Yuan's spirit. This giant had a terrifying lightning attribute magic treasure. His attacks were incomparably tyrannical. He really did have a chance of escaping. The Vermilion Emperor was a step faster. At the same time, he released a pig head and a human body. The pig head spat out a demonic light that pounced toward the lightning. Whoosh! This was no ordinary divine ability. The demonic light swept through the lightning. It wasn't like a divine ability. Instead, it was like the might of a Yuan spirit. The giant trapped by the poison gas suddenly fell down like a dead man. Kill him! Su Fang hastily arrived beside the Vermilion Emperor. When the Vermilion Emperor withdrew his divine power, he also wrapped it around the giant's lightning attribute magic treasure. Of course I'll kill him. He's running for his life. This king wants to let him go. I was even planning on suppressing him as a slave. This giant was helpless. 8 elements suppression. Taking advantage of the other giant being trapped by the poison gas, the Rakshasa Jade Bottle released a terrifying suction force that easily sucked the giant trapped by the formation into the bottle. If you had said so earlier, I wouldn't have killed him. The vermilion emperor sucked the giant's corpse into his mouth. The corpse became a delicious meal. Su Fang glared at him, and sucked him into the Xian Wang's 6 Paths Pagoda. The 8 primordial divine elephant array also disappeared. In an instant, it returned to the array formation at the headquarters. It informed every disciple of the number of big goblin that they had killed and told them to rest in peace. Inside the formation while cultivating, the young infant entered the Rakshasa jade vase. The 5 poisons true energy filled the royal grade magical items dimension. If they let their disciples see the strength of the sect, they'll only see the trees in the forest, but they won't see the world outside the forest. The gray-robed giant sighed. Why is the Xinyuan Empire so strong? Why is it stronger than the Celestial Sealing sect? In your eyes, the Xinyuan planet has countless forces, and its structure is the same as the Zhuotian planet. The Xinyuan Empire is just a small empire within the Xinyuan planet. Isn't it? Su Fang was surprised. Of course not. The Xinyuan planet is about the same size as the Zhuotian planet. There are countless forces within the Zhuotian planet, but there's only one force within the Xinyuan planet, and that's the Xinyuan Empire. Now you know that I'm not joking with you. Understood. The founding ancestor of the Xinyuan Empire was the realm lord of the Xinyuan planet. Otherwise, how could it become an empire that's famous in small worlds? If the realm lord of the Zhuotian planet also united all the forces in the world and established one force, then it would be as strong as the Xinyuan Empire. The Celestial Sealing sect alone is nothing. A prince of the Xinyuan Empire is more powerful and has a higher status than the Celestial Sealing sect. Do you still think it's a contempt for Prince Xue to follow a prince to cultivate? Seeing Su Fang remain silent, the giant's eyes were full of cold laughter. Even though he was suppressed by Su Fang, the giant was still proud and arrogant. The giant continued, His Highness values Prince Xue very much, and he also knows that Prince Xue has obtained the inheritance of the immortals and has the support of immortals behind him. His future is even more limitless. Otherwise, if he were a disciple of other forces, His Highness might not necessarily meet him in person. Even if Prince Xue didn't agree to His Highness' request, in His Highness' eyes, Prince Xue is already a powerful general. This time, Prince Xue invited us to help, and in fact, His Highness also knows about it. Now you should understand the relationship between Prince Xue and us. Also, if you kill us and suppress us, it's tantamount to offending a prince of the Xinyuan Empire. Aren't you afraid that even an arrogant person like Prince Xue has to bow in front of His Highness? Su Fang slowly condensed his qi. You're threatening me. You have to think about the consequences. The giant disagreed. Wrong. Wrong. I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong. I said that you're threatening me. That's wrong. You can't threaten me because you don't have the capital to do so. The one threatening me is the Xinyuan Empire. Su Fang said firmly, Don't you think what I said is very reasonable? The giant flew into a rage. I'm actually ignored by a little brat. So what? If you submit to me, you still have self-respect. If you don't submit to me, I'll refine you into a puppet. What do you think? You're so cruel at such a young age. You should say that I'm decisive.